charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange owl. Every number one for 83 in the press. Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the orange charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. And 83 in the press. Wow! Yowza!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hello, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2020.
It sure is. This is the podcast where we travel back in time using our 2020 hindsight to see, have a look at a year in pop cultural history via the lens of the ARIA charts, the Australian Recording Industry Association charts, and see what was hitting the number one spot in a year, in this case, 2020.
Yeah, 2020, Tom. We're into our current decade.
We are.
The decade that we are recording.
All the way up from the 80s to...
Absolutely, right to now. So we're very close to present day. So much to the point that I can remember all of these songs, all of these classic hits. There's a few years in the past where I'm like, I don't know any of these, but 2020, Tom, I know them all like the back of my hand.
Yep.
There's so many great tracks in here. I was locked in my house for most of this year, as you were, and most other Australians.
What you're talking about.
And what I recall from 2020 is that I spent some time watching Rage, watching that because no one had anything to do at all.
Oh, so there was Tiger King.
There was Tiger King. Correct. That really captured the hearts and minds of the entire world, and then it's something that I feel like almost as quickly as it arrived, it sort of disappeared.
I think there were a couple of big-budget feature films made in a sequel, but yeah.
Yeah, that were delayed until release this year. I think 2023 they probably brought those
Looking
up.
back at it now, it really does have a touch of the forcibly trapped indoors about it.
Absolutely right. Yeah, a lot of the songs on this feel like that they hit number one just because people were stuck inside and had a revolving playlist that just went going and going and going while you're telling your kids to, get off a chair or something like that. So, look, it's a lot of hits though, for my mind. Well, when I say a lot of hits, a couple of songs this year that I don't actually mind.
Which makes a nice change from the last, decade.
Yeah, the Black Eyed Peas days where 25 to 50% of the entire year was made up of Will.i.am bullshit, and then the rest was made up of some other trash. They were tough years to get through, but I feel like 2020, there's a couple in here that I'm like, you know what, I'm not angry about this.
There were a couple that actually feel like hip-hop as opposed to hip-house, which is that bastard child of shitty Florida hip-hop and shitty Florida EDM that we've had to listen to for the last fucking decade.
Exactly. Not as much Flow Rider in the 2020s, I think.
Less Aunt Flo, but also less Will.i.am.
Yeah, exactly. So you take the good with the bad, I guess. So what can you tell me about the decade before we kick off on the tracks?
Well, if you can, pick up your old black and white photo album and squint your eyes and look back at 2020. What happened? Not much. I mean, I don't remember much, do you? It's weird. It's like someone used powerful chemicals to burn a large hole in my brain where my memories of 2020 would normally be. It's so weird.
I just think nothing happened. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't leave the state or your city.
Hole in my brain. Hang on. There's a post-it note on the edge of the hole that says, "Buy more gin."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Well, if I check the magical computer box, I'm told that some sort of disease caused a mild disruption to interstate bus services.
Yep.
World record bushfires ravaged Australia and came terrifyingly close to interrupting Scott Morrison's holiday plans. America nearly started a war with Iran. Racial inequity was protested all over the world. Fuck, something good must have happened in 2020. Hang on, there's another post-it note here. The Last of Us 2 came out. Also, buy more vermouth as well.
Okay, good.
Oh, and Professor Donald Trump successfully lost his fourth election after losing to Hillary Clinton by 4 million votes, losing the House of Representatives in the midterms after all his candidates lost, losing the election to Joe Biden with the biggest voter turnout in history, and then losing the recount of the election when it was proved that he'd not only definitely lost the first time, but after the recount, it was shown that he'd actually lost by more votes than in the original count, meaning that not only did he manage to lose the same election twice, he actually lost harder the second time at his own insistence.
That's good, yeah.
Moving the mathematics of being a fucking loser into a quantum realm of math that scientists are still trying to understand to this day.
He'll be running next year, Tom, so maybe you can sort of double down on
Well,
that.
he lost his fifth election last year when all his candidates lost the midterms again, so fingers crossed for number 6 in 2024. In movie news, the big hits of the year were unusually 5 Chinese movies you haven't seen and an anime sequel that you haven't seen either.
Good.
Providing a terrifying vision of the future where China makes its own trash blockbusters and America's entire export economy is reduced to iPhone upgrades and cluster bombs.
Yep.
Yeah, on the western side of the movies, it was Bad Boys for Life, Sonic the Hedgehog, the Doolittle reboot that everyone was crying out for, and Tenet. 4 movies so desperate to rewind time that you could use them to jumpstart the TARDIS. The soundtrack of the year was probably Trolls 2: Trolls World Tour.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But Bad Boys for Life did feature 2 Jaden Smith joints.
Did it? Fuck.
Including one called Ritmo and one called The Hottest, which contains the line, "I'm the hottest, you can hear it in my voice." Dude, mostly what I can hear in your voice is being 21. You sound like the teenager from The Simpsons who runs the hot dog counter. Have you heard his singing voice?
I've heard some of his material. It's not good, Tom. I haven't heard his work from that soundtrack, though. Was he in the film? Did he get a role in the Bad Boys for Life film? Or?
I honestly haven't seen it.
Okay.
I haven't seen... That's the third one, right? I think I pieced out after Bad Boys 2,
So
believe.
Will Smith is sort of... Obviously spent a good portion of his career trying to get his kid, Jaden Smith, into his films. And then everyone said, oh, he has no charisma and he's dog shit at acting.
Yes.
So Will said, well... Okay, can we get him on the soundtrack at least? Is that where we're going to now? So.
To the point, he's sort of lifeless to the point where you start to think, I think maybe he doesn't even want to be on this big budget movie.
Yeah.
See? Like, it's got a touch of your
Dad's
divorced
forced you
dad
into
trying
this.
to get you on a camping holiday thing, and like you sort of, teenagers are never very good at feigning enthusiasm at the best of times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, I think, Tom, he will have a role in the future where he can, I think, probably prove himself. If they reboot Weekend at Bernie's, I think he can probably play Bernie. I think playing a lifeless corpse might be within the realms of his talent. And I think it would be great as well, because I'd love to see that film redone now. But of course, obviously, we'd probably need an all-female cast for the Weekend at Bernie's. So,
Yes.
which I'm fine with. I don't have a problem with that. But I sort of, think that that's how Hollywood sort of, they want to try and mix it up a little bit. And I'd be happy with that. A Weekend at Bernadette's or something like that. But if they do a Weekend at Bernie's, a straight reboot, Jaden Smith as a dead body that gets carried around a bit, I think he is born for that role. Because anything where he needs to talk or do anything, he's not very good at.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've heard people with worse flow, rapping-wise, but his voice is just, it really does sound like it hasn't broken yet. He doesn't have a lot of personality in the voice. If you're curious, Ritmo is the better song of the two, but only because it uses Will.i.am's A-B technique to completely rip off Rhythm of the Night by Corona, which is a far better song than both songs by some citizens. Seriously, it's about 2/3 Rhythm of the Night, about 1/4 Will.i.am rapping, and the rest is made up by a teenager in a beanie who doesn't seem 100% sure he wants to be there.
So Jaden Smith has in effect kickstarted the Eurodance Renaissance.
Hey,
He got there a little bit before Beyonce.
That's right. Well, I can't argue with that.
Absolutely.
Sure. Like, so what do we got song-wise?
All right, Tom. Well, new decade, new beginning.
Oh,
new
sorry.
hopes.
One thing.
Sorry.
I always forget to say this. If you want to follow on, the YouTube link in the playlist if you want to watch
and
the videos.
and I've decided, Tom, I've seen what other podcasts do.
Yeah.
And I got hit up this week via email, someone saying, Dear Ben and Tom, would you like to use my services to make a website for your podcast? And I assume it's either a bot or some sort of scam, or some sort of I don't know. He just emails everybody and hopes that he gets a bit of a bite. But what I have come to realise is that we don't do anything. We don't have a website. We don't do any. I've got an Instagram account that I haven't updated for 2 years. So I'm going to start doing that thing where you can follow along at home using the YouTube links, but maybe what I'll do is these podcasts go for 2.5 hours. We should be able to find 20 seconds of quality material in that, and we'll cut that down.
TikTok.
We'll put it up on the TikTok, and we'll be like, what's this thing? It's great. And
also, we need merch, Ben.
We do need merch, yeah. And then people will be like, I had to wade through 3 hours of them talking about some bullshit to hear that 20 seconds of quality, but that's okay. That's like Jaden Smith's acting career. You got to sort of go through the whole thing.
You should say that, because one thing that did actually happen today, it's going to sound like I'm making this up for convenience, but no, it might have been yesterday. I was looking through Twitter and I saw...
Just say today. It's sort of
today.
So it happened today.
Happened just yesterday,
now,
which was even weirder. But I saw a joke that we had made that was being used by a couple of people on Twitter. And, so clearly, either... just coincidentally, someone else had made exactly the same joke, which is quite possible. Or, more likely, we're already famous in the Twittersphere, and we've just got to figure out...
ripping off our shit.
That's right. Damn. We've got to copyright some of this gold.
Yeah,
it was the one about how... talking about Ticketmaster, how Eddie Vedder had been warning people about Ticketmaster for years, except no one could understand him. Yep. Because, and it was just like him trying to type out what it sounded like, My impression was way better, obviously, because I've got the voice of an angel. But
fucking knocking off our Eddie Vedder impersonators. Nothing is sacred. Fucking hell.
There's no possible way that another person might have arrived at that same joke just by accident.
Just by listening to Eddie Vedder and being like, fuck, no one can make out any of his lyrics.
Right. Or that he was the Taylor Swift of the day at the time, and there was like no one else, no more popular singer in the whole world.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the music, Tom. So...
starting off with some gold.
New decade, new beginnings, new hopes, new dreams, new art, new culture, new music. Well, in theory, all of those things, but what we got were 3 more weeks of Dance Monkey.
That's
the people just couldn't get enough. Look, I think what I will say is that we had... 6 months of Dance Monkey, roughly, at the end of last year.
24 weeks total, including this 3.
And then a few break weeks with, I think, Mariah Carey. She's number 1 every year in December from now until the end of time, I imagine, because no one's ever going to write another Christmas song that has any relevance ever again. So, we get a couple more weeks of this. What I've noticed, though, Tom, is that this is back, 2019 predominantly with Dance Monkey, a little bit 2020. Here we are in 2023, and there hasn't been a follow-up to her seminal Welcome to the Madhouse album yet. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what tone... I know that we did mention that she got married, I think, earlier this year.
Sure.
Might be taking a break from, music, but, it's been 4 years. She's released the biggest song in the history of the ARIA charts.
True.
But we haven't got that yet. I mean, would that be your most anticipated album of 2023, assuming that we're fortunate enough to get it this year? Would that be, sort of Tones and I's follow-up to Welcome to the Madhouse? That's high on your list?
Sure.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Look.
I mean, it is technically possible that she did release another song at some point since Dance Monkey, but
she has.
Sadly, history will never know because they've already forgotten her.
Exactly.
With only people talking about it. People at home are going, Tones and who?
They don't know who she is yet. So the album, you're right, Tom, the follow-up album has not come yet, but Tones and I, she's really riding the non-album single hard, Iggy Azalea style, which I've come to learn non-album single actually just means failed attempts to deliver another hit for the next album that has gone nowhere, so they just don't worry about putting them on the album. So they just keep releasing singles until there's a hit, and then it's like, oh great, we've got a hook for the new album, and they do that. So she's released about 25 non-album singles, I think, at this point, because not that many, but they're all garbage. So
well, maybe we were talking about that last week about artists maybe in the future just saying, well, I'm just not going to release an album anymore. I'm just going to...
Yeah, I think so.
Perhaps this is why that hasn't happened yet, is because, you just don't get the payday that you get, or the cultural impact yet still people still think in album terms, perhaps, you know.
Yeah. I
Or
think
maybe it's just because they were complete bullshit and no one cared.
probably.
I mean, there's always hope, you know. There is always hope. I'm still waiting for that Kajagoogoo follow-up album.
For
you know?
sure, absolutely,
And
definitely.
that,
well, look,
second Euroglide is pretty
yeah, I mean, Kajagoogoo, we might not ever get that, but
Perhaps it
Lamal
was too
did.
shy to-
Lamal obviously
Yes,
sort of
no.
went solo, and he's had
Bestrode the world.
such a storied career with the theme song from Neverending Story, and a lot of other stuff, I'm sure, as well today. But look, so 3 more weeks of Dance Monkey. We may never have to talk about Tones and I ever again. Is that a fair
Yeah.
assessment in this podcast? Because I don't think she's going to get back to the top of the charts.
No, I was going to make a joke about millennial attention spans here, but
Okay.
weirdly, the opposite effect continues within the charts. As we said, 2020 is another year, just like the last 5, where the pattern of big hits squatting at number 1 for long periods continues.
Yep.
You know, if young people are all easily distracted goldfish now, then that's not reflected by any sort of capricious desire for a new song every week, you know. Give them a one-hit wonder about a dancing monkey sung by a chick from Frankston doing a shithouse Björk impression, and they're happy for 6 full months, apparently.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. That's all people want. So
Who says young people have got no concentration these days?
I want to know, do plays from Coles Radio count for the ARIA charts? Because they're doing their own thing.
That's true.
You know, they're sort of, forging their own
I
path.
suspect if they did, we'd be seeing a lot more Run to Paradise.
A lot more
in
Run to
the-
Paradise,
The
yeah,
2021
exactly right.
charts.
Yep, and those Snow follow-up singles that you've forgotten about. But yeah, they're not really, because that's it, I think. I'd like to see a bit more of input from the radio station, because when you leave it
Yeah.
up to the public itself to just stream endless
That's
playlists
right.
of bullshit, you get this sort of stuff where it's just Tones and I for too long. 24 weeks is insane. So look, anyway, we can move on. You got anything else to say about
No.
Tones and I? No.
Please.
Never again.
Let's move on.
So yeah, look. Anyway, up next, 27th of Jan for I think 11 weeks
11
total.
weeks, yep.
Correct. The Weekend, Blinding Lights. Tom.
Yeah, I quite like this one. I'm happy to admit it.
Yep.
It's rare to have a number one that's not dodgy as hell in one way or another, but I think this is just a sort of well-produced, like, electro-pop song with a rad video. I love the fucking video for this. It's retro without being a pastiche of a specific point in time. Like, it borrows from the 80s, but it still sounds pretty contemporary. And the video is a bit nostalgic without just being the graphic from some vaporwave beats to chill to playlist, like a music video that I was watching the other night, which just looked like one of those 80s retro t-shirts, just animated. And given the Weeknd's previous stuff, it also plays as organic. It's not like that Kanye video where he was in love with Daft Punk and Akira for 2 weeks and then got distracted by a bundle of keys on a string and some Nazis in the corner. But yeah, I mean, what did you think?
Oh, I
You a fan?
completely agree. Look, as you said, it is a massive throwback to the 80s. Sounds like it could have come out
100%,
any time, early to mid 80s. But The Weeknd, not his real name, obviously, put together a solid, as you said, electro sort of pop song. I remember during the lockdown, my kids must have played this about 2,000 to 3,000 times.
Oh, wow, okay.
They really liked this one as
fans.
well. Like the video clip, they love watching it. But unlike Dance Monkey, which I probably also heard a lot of times, when this comes on, I don't feel the need to jump out a window into an active volcano. So
Also lucky as well, like, he had that song around this time that has that line about fucking someone in front of the fireplace or something. This guy was saying, my kids love that song and they won't, I have to keep playing it and I just have to keep hoping they don't know what that is a reference to this one. Just got this one sketchy line in the middle of it.
But yeah, also, as you said, the video clip, it sort of has that sort of a little bit, he's driving a car, all of a sudden he's covered in blood, you're not quite sure what's happened, there's a little bit of like non-linear storytelling within that, so it's like an interesting kind of like, and that sort of outfit that he wears, I think he's sort of that's the theme of this album, I guess. He's always wearing the sort of same costume throughout the video clips and whatnot. But good song, good video clip. Definitely feeling this.
The video in November of previous year, 2019, The Weeknd collaborated with Mercedes-Benz to release a snippet of the track alongside a commercial of the company's first all-electric car.
Okay.
The song's official release came like minutes later, and that was accompanied by a full-length version of the commercial which featured the track, and the video features the car fairly heavily too,
Yep.
like he's in a car
Yes.
for half the video. I mean, I don't know about you, Ben, but nothing says rock and roll outlaw to me like efficient brand synergy.
Efficient brand synergy, and also just environmentally conscious as well, Tom.
Yes.
With his electric car sort of thing.
Well,
So
that's true, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think Motley Crue would have been burning down the highway. They would have been finding a vehicle that burnt as much petrol as physically possible. Sorry, gas in America as possible.
I
So-
mean, on the plus side, the video is pretty rad, as we've discussed, and it continues directly from his previous video from this album,
Yep.
which was the Anton Tammy directed Heartless, which shows that young artists are still being influenced by the epic Don't Cry, A Strange November Rain video trilogy
Correct.
to create, without ever apparently feeling the need to publicise that, just making sort of consecutive videos. I
Yeah.
look forward to the Weeknd's next video featuring a visibly shit-faced extra diving headfirst into a wedding cake for no obvious reason and then swimming with dolphins in custom high tops.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, those custom high tops are sick. That Axel had in definitely probably all those videos. Certainly A Strange, I remember that. But you're right. I think the trilogy that's unannounced is the way to go.
Yeah.
So I think Daft Punk did that as well. Remember with those animated ones?
Yes,
There was
they
at
did a
least-
whole little feature
probably, yeah.
film thing, and there's actually another one coming up this year along these lines too.
Okay, I think
I love these videos.
yeah, no, they're really good. I think when someone says I'm doing a trilogy of videos and they announce it, and then they get to, and then part 2 is dog shit, and then
Yeah.
they never get it to part 3 because everyone's like, I never fucking wanted the other bits of that. So, yeah,
Also, I mean, not only are they both sort of gorgeous high-end tributes to being fucked up on drugs in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
including visual nods to Fear and Loathing, but it's also always good to see some quality pack-a-day style cigarette smoking in
yeah,
videos
absolutely.
these days. You don't see
You
that
don't.
much on screen, even on TV or whatever. And when you do see it in TV and stuff, often it's actors who clearly don't really know how to smoke.
No.
Like if you ever actually smoked, you can tell when someone knows how to smoke.
Yep.
You know, the clue is that when people do smoke, they smoke it all the way down to the butt because that's where they keep the heroin.
They
you know,
don't- they don't throw it
just
away after.
take two awkward puffs, then try to unsuccessfully stub out a whole cigarette in a spotless ashtray
Yep.
that hasn't been used. Whereas he looks like he's just 2 puffs away from passing out in a fucking fountain.
exactly,
Yeah, it's
exactly. Look, Tom, I guess seeing this is the first time the Weeknd's featured, we should probably a small rundown of what is the Weeknd story. I guess
Yeah, I
he's
believe
born in
we've-
Toronto.
We mentioned him before, but
He hasn't had a number one. This is the
No,
first number one he's
no.
had. So he's from Toronto,
Yep.
Canada, obviously. 17 years of age. Dropped out of school. Went, I'm going all in on music.
Mm-hmm.
He moved into an apartment in the neighbourhood of Parkdale in Toronto
Okay.
with 2 friends, 2 of his best friends. One of them is now his creative director, who works with him on various
Mm-hmm.
things throughout his career. And he's described this period of life as when he dropped out of school at 17, got an apartment, and just started working on music as, quote, like the 1995 film Kids without the AIDS, end quote, Tom. So that's...
he was just having sex with underage virgins constantly.
It's an interesting way to describe your life. So if you want to know what it was like being The Weeknd when he was
Yeah.
17, get the film Kids out from your local video store, hire that out, preferably on VHS. Watch that film, and just remember it's exactly like that, but in his world, no one had the
Yeah.
AIDS. So I don't know.
No, he also said that around this time he also experienced homelessness, was incarcerated on several occasions, and often used drugs and abused illegal substances like ketamine, cocaine, MDMA, magic mushrooms, and cough syrup. In December 2016, he stated that drugs were a crutch for him when it came to writing music.
Okay.
Which probably that's why he looks so convincing, slouched drunkenly over a fountain, punching a dart in Vegas. Also, the weird thing about those videos, and I realised after watching them, in terms of, especially if you think about them in terms of product placement for a very expensive brand,
Yep.
is that if you watch those 2 videos in order, like
Yep.
the Heartless, then this one, he's totally fucked when he's driving the car.
Yeah.
like, forget about, a couple of bevies, too many at the pub. He's been, like, licking toadbacks and chucking whiteys and shit like
He's
that.
ruined. Yep.
He's hallucinating while driving a car,
Yep.
which is a weird ad for a car, really. I mean, I know he's famous, but,
Yeah, exactly. Look, I guess, you take whatever product placement, spots you can get, I guess, no matter what you're doing.
It's a good song, I'd take this over Post Malone.
Oh, absolutely. So, look, as we mentioned that his life is like Kids Without the AIDS.
Sorry,
No, it's fine. He was originally releasing music anonymously, so he did that.
Oh, okay.
He had several mixtapes where he'd released without his name on there, obviously under. I think he even had a name before The Weeknd.
This is like hip hop?
Sort of more like dark electronic music.
Oh, okay.
I guess you could say dark wave-ish, kind of.
Oh, like more EDM.
Yeah, a little bit like that. But, more electronic, darker, but he still was using that falsetto sort of type vocal style he's known for, which is sort of not something you would expect from sort of, I guess, a dark electronic type music. But anyway, so he was releasing it anonymously, and he claims that while he was working at American Apparel at the time, working there, that his co-workers would play his songs.
Oh, okay.
Because he was starting to blow up a little bit on the SoundCloud or whatever the fuck they had before SoundCloud, and but he just wouldn't tell them. They'd be like, "Oh, check this track out," and he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, it's cool, isn't it?" So that's when he sort of knew that he had a little bit of something that just random people were playing the song. This could be a fake backstory. People love to pull this shit out. I was at American Apparel and my friends were playing the songs, and I didn't tell them because I was anonymous.
What
Do
you think is more likely, that or that he was one of those guys you work with who finds out where the auxiliary cord is and then no one ever gets to touch it ever again for the entire time you work there? And just
he was putting them on.
Mysteriously, these songs by a guy you've never heard on keep popping up all the time.
People in my workplace were listening to my music because I was forcing them to, and they had no idea what the fuck was going on.
I worked with a guy, a graphic designer once, who was a big fan of Father of Two, big fan of Yngwie Malmsteen, and who does Black Label Society?
Oh, like Zakk Wylde.
Zakk Wylde, yeah. And he would sometimes practice his shredding at home and then burn it to a CD and bring it in to work. So you'd come in and work at 9 a.m. in the morning and say, "How was your night?" And he'd go, "Oh, I was up doing some quality shredding. Check this out." And then he'd just play. He'd do that. That's another auxiliary cord guy trick, is to go, "Do you want to hear some?" And if there's a pause longer than 2 seconds, then he goes, "Yeah," and then
just plugs straight in.
That 2 second pause counts as a cent. Yep. So then at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're listening to some quality amateur
shredding,
Zakk Wylde style shredding.
That sounds pretty sweet. I'd take that over some of the tracks from the last decade.
It was better than smooth jazz at my previous job.
For sure. So I guess that's where we started out, all that sort of shit. Yep. American Apparel, then gained a bit of mainstream attention with a track on the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
which
the
sucked.
one that had a surprisingly good soundtrack, but that song is not.
It was pretty boring. But then he followed that up with his track "The Hills," and obviously the rather catchy. I think "The Hills" is quite a popular song, and the rather catchy "I Can't Feel My Face" back in 2015.
That was a big hit.
So he had those 2 songs back to back. Both of those were, I think, reached the charts in Australia, top 10, but didn't make it to number 1. And then for the next album after that, after 2015, he had a few singles with Daft Punk. He did a couple of Daft Punk collaborations.
Yeah, he's definitely on their wavelength.
And both of those Daft Punk collaborations landed at number 2 and 4, respectively, on the charts. So, so back 2015, 16, 17, he had a heap of top 10 singles, but wasn't until this that it was his first number 1. And since then, he's been alternating between dropping some pretty good pop songs, I think, like compared to the general shit we're used to. Like I Like This Song and other ones that he's done. I Can't Feel My Face, obviously a good one. And he's also released some straight garbage for soundtracks as well. Previously mentioned 50 Shades of Grey, some trash for Game of Thrones. He did a track on that. And Avatar Way of the Water as well. So, and all of those songs are straight garbage, but his work outside of soundtracks generally better than what we're used to on this podcast. So thank you to The Weeknd for doing some stuff that doesn't make me want to punch myself in the face. Yeah.
One little recent addendum too, I think this would be between 2020 and now, but he's recently announced that he's doesn't want to be called The Weeknd anymore. He's sick, like The Rock. He's sick of being called The Weeknd. He wants to be called Abel Tesfaye, which is his real name.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce the surname, so forgive me. In case you're wondering his nationality, he was born in Canada to Ethiopian immigrants, as you just said. He grew up in Canada. So, yeah.
So he's ditching The Weeknd. He's going with his real name from now
and
on.
I think the reason he's doing that is because he wants to get into acting, and he's currently starring in a show called The Idol.
Isn't he, Tom?
Which is meant to be a bit of a hate watch, I've heard, for some people. Yeah. Where he plays like some sort of music mogul /
He plays like a
cult leader.
Yeah, cult leader type character. Yeah, absolutely. So
I've heard he's a bit of a plank.
Yes. So
his first role, I guess.
First thing I saw him in was he was in Uncut Gems.
Oh, okay.
As himself, though.
Okay.
He was playing The Weeknd in Uncut Gems.
Did he pull that off?
He was able to pull that off. I think he had like 2 lines or something like that, and it was just in the background while Adam Sandler was like doing something that made you just really like like, have you seen Uncut Gems?
I started watching it twice and it made me very...
It's anxiety inducing. Yes. So
I'm fairly good for anxiety, really. I don't really need a top up over a 2 hour. But I've heard it's great, so maybe I should push through.
Yeah, Adam Sandler is quite an interesting character, isn't he? Because when he wants to, he can do a good acting job, like he did in Uncut Gems, and I've seen him in some other films where it's
Drunk Love.
Exactly.
Quite good in,
when he wants to, he can do good stuff. But at the same time, I feel like that he's also prepared to take the easy option out, which is just some bullshit where he does a wacky voice with the worst script one can imagine.
Look, it's not his fault if people keep giving him $10 million to take his mates on holiday.
Exactly. Look, power to him. If Netflix is going to offer him
David Spade.
If
Rob Schneider.
Here's $20 million to hang out with Jennifer Aniston and do some bullshit. It's like, fair enough, I can do that. So, so he's in Uncut Gems, and as you said, The Idol. He actually co-created The Idol. Tom, this is a show that he created himself.
That gives it that element of hubris that often moves the show from just bad up to enjoyably shithouse, where someone's put a bit of themselves into it, and because apparently he's really obnoxious and and also like a real sort of sex pest.
Definitely
kind
a creeper,
character.
I think, Tom, he described it as like Bohemian Rhapsody, the Freddie Mercury story, but without the AIDS. I think that's sort of how he actually described the show, from what I understand. But look, has it received the best reviews so far? As you said, a couple of episodes in. I don't think it's done the first series as of yet, as we sort of speak.
Have you actually watched it?
I haven't yet, but I've seen a few articles where, people... one review suggested that it, quote, single-handedly resurrects torture porn. So that's interesting. And he does say to Johnny Depp's daughter, she's the lead in this, so it's good. I believe it features the line, "I want to grab you by the ass while I suffocate you with my cock." Now, that could have been taken out of context. But also, it's within the show. She's playing a pop star. He's playing the weird sort of cult leader type control element. So, look, I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't feel like I should comment on without actually watching. Unlike most people who are just prepared to have an opinion. It sounds like there's a few weird lines and a bit of like craziness, but his actual performance itself, without watching it, I couldn't actually say what it's like. But I do know that there were a few issues with the production because the director of the show was a female. And then he said that, quote, she was providing too much of a woman's perspective. So she was
telling him to be less of a fucking creep, probably.
So she left the production. Then they had to rewrite and refilm the whole series, apparently, after HBO had already spent tens of millions of dollars on it. So this is sort of like the second... So I think that's why people are quite critical of it, because the whole show had been made... They've had a second go at it, and now it's come out, and people are like, "Oh, it's very sort of boring." Like, I think for the most part, it's not a super interesting show. But then there's got the controversial, like really forceful sex scenes, and sort of those sort of things where it's like, if the whole thing is interesting or has a different perspective on things, you can sort of take some of these scenes where it may go a little bit too far and go, "Well, it's in the context of the show." But I think generally people have said, "Oh, it's dog shit," and it's
yeah.
exploitative of people. So
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the people involved were involved with Euphoria as well, which also had charges level at it of being exploitative. I used to say, like, every 10 years or so, something comes along. Kids was one of those things as well, where someone goes, I'm going to do a shocking expose of what your children are getting up to when people aren't watching, and it's always 50%, just hysterical nonsense, like current affair reports about kids smoking toad venom in your suburbs, because people secretly like the idea of dark things happening behind closed doors, and 50% are just completely exploiting the concept of school kids, fucking each other and taking drugs. And that's one of the reasons I was never that interested in Euphoria. But it sounds like Euphoria has good parts of it to counterbalance the exploitative nature, whereas this just seems like...
Oh, look, maybe I'll watch it and then we can comment in the future.
Yeah,
so, look,
sorry.
That's fine. Look,
talking about it too much.
So maybe points off for... the way that he's portrayed women in this show, but points on for this song, and also points on because he has a feud with Drake.
Yes, definitely.
So points on for that, and he punched a cop in Las Vegas once, so that's probably points on as well, I assume. So if you don't punch the cops, they'll probably shoot you.
He
so
licked too many toads, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So look, apparently, Drake's from Canada. As we know, the Weeknd's from Canada.
Background.
I think after the Weeknd's first ever live performance, Drake was like, "Oh yeah, come and work with my label or work with me or something like that." And then the Weeknd came out and said a few years later, like, "Oh, I'd written all these songs for my own album," and then Drake basically sort of took them from me and put them on his album. So I feel like, that wasn't... I was a young artist and sort of exploited to me. And then Drake came back and said, Abel co-wrote Shot for Me, Practice, was featured on Crew Love and The Ride, and that's it. So, he's only written or performed on like 5 songs on the album.
Sure.
So,
although, I mean,
I don't know how many albums.
It's his word against Drake's,
But that's Drake saying that. That's what Drake said. So Drake said,
yes. Yeah.
So it's like he only co-wrote or featured on like 5. But who knows? So maybe...
So if you split the difference between them, he only wrote, say, 8 songs on his 10-song album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's all right, for sure. So look, I don't know. Look... I guess at the end of the day, as I said, points on for that, for Drake feud. Song itself, pretty good. Anything else to say about this?
Lyrics.
Oh, lyrics, yeah.
Credited to The Weeknd, producers Oscar Holter and Max Martin, our old mate.
Max! Fucking
he's
hell.
still on the charts.
Jesus.
He pops up again this year. Plus,
just
frequent collaborators Belly and Dahila, who have also worked with acts like Beyonce, Future, Natalie Imbruglia, and Little Peep, who might be a rapper or a breakfast cereal mascot, Ben. There's simply no way to tell.
I can't tell, I don't know.
Sin City's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. Yeah, by top 10 pop standards, this isn't bad at all. It sort of alludes to being fucked up without being literal. Yeah. And it merges perfectly with the video. There's like a sort of thematic loneliness at the city and the man and the song, which is sort of redolent of so many unironic 80s jams, which were about on your own in the city, big nights in the city, and this sort of manages to like sneer at itself without mocking the music. It's sort of, I just think it works really well. It's really good video music meshing together perfectly.
Oh, definitely.
I would have watched the third part if I knew what it was. Maybe there is part 3, the estranged, if you will, of the trilogy.
There's
a difficult third album.
Yeah, he does a duet with Ariana Grande, which is animated, I think.
Okay.
I hope that's not the third part. I have seen that video.
Be the first time she's been animated.
Hello. All right. So up next, Tom, for 6 weeks, it's St. John with Roses.
Yes, Saint JHN. I'm assuming that's pronounced
John. Yeah, I assume it's St. John. Just without, the vowels.
Yeah, and not St. John. I hope it's not St. John because sometimes...
I'm just going to say St. John.
Yeah, let's say it's St. John.
So, look, this is a remix of a 2016 single that St. John released. He's a Brooklyn rapper. So I did that back then. Bit of an underground sort of rap song. I don't think it gained much mainstream traction, but certainly in the underground had some support. And the original sounds absolutely nothing like this, to be honest. So they've taken the vocal hook and then they've sped it up, given it a dance beat. The original doesn't have a dance beat. And that's been all done by Imanbek, a teenager from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, it's listed as a producer, but I mean that.
So the dude from Kazakhstan, effectively, just did the whole song with the vocal sample from St. John. I think this is the first number one we've discussed from a Kazakhstani artist.
That's
I believe, as far as I know.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything since. But who knows, he could be working on that Welcome to the Madhouse follow-up with Tones and I assume that's what's happening. He's locked away at her studio down in Frankston doing that. Without another big hit, though, I think he'll be assigned to history as the Kazakhstani Lou Bega. So fingers crossed he can come out with something else, because no one wants to be known as the Kazakhstani Lou Bega.
No. The remix, as you say, that song helped the song get international recognition after it was featured on a Snapchat filter. And TikTok, where it received over 4.5 billion plays.
Okay.
So, I'm not even sure how plays work on TikTok. For all I know, that might not be very many plays for TikTok, but and then in 2020, a second remix produced by Key Global and Fallen was released with American rapper Future.
Yeah.
But I think... Oh, hang on. And then on July 17th, a second version of the Imanbek remix was released, featuring an extra verse by St. John and a featured verse by Colombian singer J Balvin.
Okay.
Which I think...
There's about 9 remixes.
It's so confusing that I honestly don't know which version is used in the video or who the people in it are or which of them are meant to be doing the vocals.
Yeah, the video that I've seen...
There's a sort of group of people in it.
In the video, the music video scene just seems to be that sort of vocal hook sort of slightly sped up or pitch shifted a bit. Without the one I've seen didn't have any like extra rapping by anyone else. So maybe I've only seen the original remix by our Kazakhstani friend
but not the 2016 version, which didn't have. Yeah.
So I haven't. I don't think I've seen one where St. John pops up himself.
Now, do you reckon this is this trap?
I think this fits nicely into the increasingly popular, inoffensive cafe Sunday brunch electronica. Tom, the sort of song you're hungover, you can't be fucked cooking.
Yes.
You pop out to get like a coffee and some scrambled eggs or whatever, and then the cafe's playing this sort of like background inoffensive kind of like.
According to, I know what you mean. According to Wikipedia, that's called Slap House.
Slap House.
Which is supposedly a subgenre of deep house starting in the late 2010s. The genre usually plays around 120 BPM, aka not quickly enough.
No,
Slap House is closely related to Brazilian bass, but has less bombastic sound design, more melodic elements, and contains radio-friendly moments.
Less bombastic, I can agree with.
Compared to club-oriented Brazilian bass. This would be too slow for a club.
Yeah.
The name arose to the bouncy bass lines being reminiscent of disco's slap bass.
Okay.
Songs have stronger beats and more elaborate memories in their Brazilian version. Also, the songs are lacking in claps at the beginning, the clap also being a huge part of disco.
Yeah, okay.
Are you a Slap House fan?
Not
How
really,
do you feel
no.
that it stacks up against future bass and UK funky?
Oh, I mean, UK
what about
funky.
Ho-Wop? Ho-Wop or Slap House, do you reckon?
That's a tough one because, I mean, Ho-Wop was short-lived and garbage, so I'm probably... UK funky, though. It's sort of always has a soft spot in my heart. But
I like
this doesn't...
UK funky because you know where you are. You're in the UK... And
it's just funky,
It's quite fun.
Look, I think if I had to put this sort of Kazakhstani-produced dance music up against just the classic Euro beats of sort of the early Belgian pioneers such as 2 Unlimited, I would say that this falls well short of that, Tom. So
Yes.
2 Unlimited didn't need a Snapchat filter to get their track to number
No,
one. They just used
that's
their
true.
own abilities. Now, what does that even mean? Do you know what sort of... I don't have a Snapchat account. I don't venture onto Snapchat. But
honestly don't
what?
know.
Yeah, that's when it sort of features on a Snapchat filter. Does that mean kids they've done something on their telephone? They've sent it to their friends on the Snapchat, and then as you can, like on Instagram, I
they
guess
have,
you
like,
can choose
presets.
a filter
Yeah.
of different. I want it to be brighter, black and white, whatever the fuck you do on Instagram. Is it like that? But it also comes with a tune. So I'm sending you hey Tom, I'm snapping you something, and you're looking at it, and it comes up, and it's like, oh great, it's the fucking it's St. John roses on there.
I guess that's it. But I mean, even then, like 4.5 billion, like people must have been like using it quite a lot.
People were locked inside, Tom, for a long time.
That's true. I keep forgetting due to the giant smoking crater where my memories of 2020 but yeah, I keep forgetting that, the locked inside element.
So yeah, look, I don't really know what St. John's up to. I don't really know what Immerbeck's up to these days. But look, I hope that they've made enough funds off this track that they're just relaxing and waiting to sort of the next thing to pop up.
This was St. John's debut single from his debut album. Number 1 in Australia and across Europe, number 4 in the US. So he's off to a good start. But
very good start.
Whether he'll make the best of it. In my opinion, the production by your Kazakhstani mate Fallen is better than the vocal. I reckon, which is a pretty basic one-man mumble rap. I mean, it's a cut above Post Malone, but so is Oral Gonorrhea.
Yeah.
Can you make a whole song from nothing but inspired production? Ask Max Martin, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
The answer seems to be yes, if you don't mind it being a bit average, or almost depending on your taste, I guess. And the video, a bit like the song, is heavy on quality production talent, but light on actual meaning or context.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It seems to be about a group of people stalking a priest through some sort of Catholic compound, which they're in the process of trashing, which is a sort of fertile premise, but not really followed through on. It does look cool, though. It's sort of nice black and white.
It does look cool.
And it makes the musicians look rad as hell, which, let's be honest, is still the point of most music videos since 1981.
Correct.
Yeah.
Does this have any lyrical highlights?
Yeah, sure. Written by St. John and producer Fallen, who did the album and has worked with Doja Cat, Usher, Kanye, and a whole lot of people you've never heard of with stupid fucking names like Skis, Little Anarchy, and Triz with 3 Zs. But yeah, according to an interview with St. John, the symbolism of roses is that they are delicate and beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Roses are closely associated with gifting to women. I buy roses for myself. I don't need you to love me. If you don't love me, I'll be okay. But if I don't love me, I won't make it out of this life.
Fair enough.
Interestingly, this is perhaps the first time I've ever heard a rapper allude to the idea that their bravado and materialistic self-adulation is actually a coping mechanism aimed at raising their self-esteem in order to deal with reality.
It's a whole new concept.
Yes, that little interview, he comes across as much more charismatic than he does in the actual song, which doesn't really translate to the lyrics, e.g., I walked in the corner with the body screaming Dolo, never sold a bag but looked like Pablo in a photo. This going to make him feel the way like Tony killed Manolo. You already know though, I walk in the corner with money on my finger. She might get it popping. I might wife her for the winter. So just the usual first 6 lines. You got drug deals, bravado, goddamn motherfucking Scarface references, jewellery, women as possessions, etc. And yeah, it's a shame because, like, if he could add a subtext to all that bravado bullshit, as he does in that one little interview snippet, that shows it's more about sort of self-assurance in a hostile world and less about shooting people in drug deals like some dodgy Oscar Stone movie about a fictional coke dealer with a shithouse wandering accent. Yeah.
Good to see that he's ticked every hip-hop cliche in 6 lines of one track. So
first song, same as like Post Malone, straight out the gate, every cliche, tick him off.
Absolutely.
check boxes.
Got anything else to say about that one?
No, let's move on.
So
That was
a couple of weeks of that. Then it was back to Blinding Lights for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
I think a bit of that. Then back to St John Rose a few weeks. And then speaking of hip hop cliches, we're up now 25th of May. Da Baby featuring Roddy Ricch, Rockstar Tom.
Rockstar.
Here we go for 6 weeks. Da Baby and Roddy Ricch teaming up for a much-needed zombie-themed music video, Tom, which ties in nicely with the theme of the song, drawing a parallel between their hip-hop gangster lifestyle and those of rock stars, which hasn't been done since, Post Malone about 2 years ago? I just want to say this, Tom.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to the podcast, if you're in hip-hop and you want to do a song about comparing hip-hop to being a rock star,
Yeah.
it's been done
Yes.
by Post Malone,
Yes.
so you don't want to be following that guy's footsteps.
And I mean, and also if it's been done by Post Malone, that means 100 other people already
Exactly.
did it anyway. But,
Second point, if anyone listening to this podcast works in television, film, music videos, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram videos, Snapchat filters, whatever the fucking case may be, if someone floats the idea of a zombie-themed anything, can you just say to them, fuck no? I think, wouldn't it be fun if we just shot some zombies in the music video? Look, I think we'd reach peak zombie about a decade ago, and people are still doing it, and we do not need any more zombie content in any way, shape or form. And I'm going to carve out the video game you mentioned earlier, Tom, because The Last of Us, because that TV show was pretty good, but they didn't really focus on the zombies, and they're not really zombies.
No,
They're like
I'm sure plenty of
mushroom
people wouldn't watch that show because they're just completely fucking zombied out. The same way people were completely vampired out.
Exactly, but
12 years
that
ago.
show itself was actually I actually forgot that it was a zombie show for most of it because it was
Sure.
sort of more of a road film of people hanging out and doing whatever.
Hey, look,
but zombies themselves, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
you need to bring something new to the table. Like my idea for my film, Tom, that I'm writing of a zombie Olympics, which I don't think's been touched on.
Sure.
Imagine this.
Be the only one.
Imagine this. It's an Olympics, and the zombies have to throw the javelin, do a high jump. We've got them to do that, and everyone's going along to be entertained. And then they break free of their shackles, and it's like we're in a zombie thing like that. That's probably the worst idea you've ever heard, but at least it has a concept of I haven't seen that before. Because anytime someone says zombies, it's like, oh shit, it's the end of the world, there's some zombies. It's like, for fuck's sake, you'd better have some interesting characters, which they never ever do.
No.
You'd better have some sort of crazy, unusual death scenes or something, which they never do, and a premise that somehow makes you think, oh, wait a minute, maybe this could go somewhere that I don't predict, rather than just like, oh no, we're running away from zombies. Sorry, Roddy Rick and fucking Da Baby, but you dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, I knew zombies were officially played out when there was a new show announced called iZombie. Because any time anybody adds the lowercase I to the start of something since about 2001, that just means that some complete fuckwit has no ideas left and is just, desperately still trying to attach themselves to the concept of an iPod.
What if it was zombies, but like on the internet, or
Oh, and there was a zombie teen romance one where the chick was in love with a zombie as well. I mean, like
Fantastic.
At that point, you just that video is directed by a pack of authentic ungulates called Real Goats.
Oh, good.
As you say, it takes the why didn't they think of that earlier angle of using some post-Walking Dead zombie shenanigans to let a couple of rappers indulge their firearm cosplay fantasies, including some sketchy action scenes, dodgy CGI headshots, and DaBaby at various points singing into his handgun as though it's a microphone, and then rocking it tenderly as if it and not he was in fact DaBaby. It's a very strange thing. It looks like he really wants to actually perhaps lie down next to his gun for some intimate times.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
recently featured in the show Beef, where one of the characters' favourite method of masturbation was to rub a gun against herself.
Nice.
But I will say one thing for it, though. More rock videos should have built-in blooper reels and outtakes, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, who wouldn't want to see Fergie falling down a flight of stairs, you know, or Will.i.am falling down a flight of stairs, or Post Malone, you know, falling down a flight of stairs.
Absolutely. I think I would enjoy that. So I'd watch some of those Black Eyed Peas videos to see Fergie falling down the flight of stairs and probably shitting herself or pissing herself, one of those two.
Whichever one she fancies.
Now, DaBaby Tom recounts in one of the verses in this song an incident that took place on November 5, 2018. Him and his family, wife, 2-year-old daughter, they were shopping in Walmart.
Yep.
And a 19-year-old Jalen Craig approached them with a gun and apparently attempted to rob them. In self-defense, DaBaby fatally shot the Craig in the abdomen, and the rapper brings this up in the song. He sort of talks about this as a warning that he's willing to kill those that will threaten his family.
Yes.
However, he's sorry that he had to shed blood in front of his little girl. So that was sort of part of this song, and that's a true story that actually happened. In April 2022, Tom, Rolling Stone released the surveillance tapes of the incident, sparking debate and renewed scrutiny in the incident after DaBaby also shot a trespasser at his house in North Carolina earlier that month. Now, no one was charged from the incident at his home, but people have sort of looked at that surveillance video footage at the Walmart, and it's taken from a few angles, and you can't really see who the instigator was and who was ultimately responsible for the death of the person, and then DaBaby has gone and shot someone else for trespassing. So what I will say, here's a tip to anyone out there listening to the podcast. Stay the fuck away from DaBaby, as the dude is trigger happy, and look, if you see him, just don't engage, because there's a very real chance that if you rub him the wrong way, talk shit on rocks. If you say to him, I hate zombie-themed videos, they're terrible, why didn't you come up with a new idea? You may wind up dead. So that's what I will say.
That's right. Generally, I prefer to stay away from people who lovingly cradle handguns in a quasi-sexual manner.
Absolutely. Now, look, that as I said, the surveillance footage made it a little bit uncertain as to the responsibility of the death. But if DaBaby is listening, I just want to put that out there and say that he appears to be innocent on all charges regarding both the Walmart shooting and the shooting on his property. I support DaBaby. Just want to let you know that. So if I do see you in real life, just be aware that on the record, I am in support of whatever you need to do to protect the family. So look, $1 billion baby entertainment, Tom. Are you familiar with this?
Christ almighty. No, I'm not.
Well, fortunately, DaBaby has branched out, and he's not just doing his own raps. He's got an entertainment enterprise, a record label. He's following in the footsteps of the big names. You know, your Puff Daddy, etc. With Bad Boy raps or whatever he had. All the big names, you know, all the people in the hip hop have got their own record labels, etc., etc. So $1 Billion Baby Entertainment is his label. Founded by DaBaby in 2017, based in Charlotte, North Carolina, the home of hip-hop, dare I say, and he currently has 5 artists signed to the label. In 2020, DaBaby had this to say: he's intending to focus on the record label full-time, saying, I won't be rapping in 5 years. I won't be rapping. I'll be creating other superstars. So, DaBaby fans out there, you only have until 2025 to hear his raps, at which point he'll be hanging up the mic, so to speak. He's going to be stepping away from the rap game to focus on the artists signed to his label. All household names, Tom. Stunner for Vegas, DJ KID, Rick Dunk, KO, Kilo, and Wisdom. So some of my favourites.
Household names.
Household names. He's focusing on those guys.
For God's sake, if you're one of those people, invest in a Kevlar jacket. I would
Invest
say.
in a Kevlar jacket,
It's
definitely.
going to be lead coming.
If you're on DeBaby's label, you'd better be selling fucking platinum albums because
It'd be
even
like 50 Cent just wearing a bulletproof vest pretty much 24/7.
oh yeah,
at all
if you
times.
if you release an album and it only goes gold, DeBaby's probably gunning for you. So make sure you know what's up.
Yeah, during the Black Lives Matter protests, when a bunch of black people made a big old fuss about nothing, as reported by the Murdoch press, DaBaby recorded a BLM remix of this song,
did he?
including an extra verse about his own experiences with police violence. After that, DaBaby and Rich performed the song live at the 2020 BET Awards this year. The performance opened in a close-up shot of DaBaby on the ground with the knee of a police officer sitting on his neck, a la the George Floyd murder.
Ooh.
He then appeared surrounded by protesters channeling the nationwide protests and performing in front of burning police cars. Now, my question here, Ben, is there a point at which highlighting an issue turns into using it for free publicity? You know, say if you were killed by a policeman in a jacuzzi tasering accident,
Yep.
would you want Joel Turner of the Modern Day Poets performing live from a spa bath at your funeral in front of pictures of him photoshopped onto the crime scene photos, do you think?
I would, but I'm not saying that
It
that
would be
makes what
entertaining,
I would.
sure.
I would enjoy that. In fact, I've written that into my will specifically, word for word, Tom, so that will happen. Joel Turner, I hope he's available for the event because I
That's
know
right.
he's very busy.
As long as he can do some beatboxing.
Him and the Modern Day Poets are booked out across the year, so I hope they can fit that in. But that's not to say that DaBaby should do the same thing for Black Lives Matter, because my death, it's just me. And I'm in charge of,
That's
me
true,
saying I want
yes.
Joel Turner to perform at my funeral in a jacuzzi. But, this is Black Lives Matter. It's an entire movement. So whether
Yeah.
he should be using that entire movement for his own publicity, that's another story. But DaBaby's going to do what DaBaby's going to do.
That's the truth. Like
That's-
calling yourself DaBaby, for
Yeah.
instance, which just instantly makes you think of a grown man wearing an adult diaper. If you mean,
And I think he's beyond criticism, mostly due to his penchant for just pulling out a weapon at any fucking stage. So I
Yeah.
don't want to criticise him. So I
this
think
is
it's
a pop trap, which is not my favourite genre, but it's still better than mumble rap,
Yep.
I'd say.
I think this has a guitar in it. I think.
Yes, it does.
Which is
And
wild.
a little bit of piano as
Yep.
well. It's better than Post Malone, although interesting that they share the same concept of what being a rock star is, e.g. someone who waves a gun around amateurishly and owns shares in a Blood Diamond mine, as opposed to someone who, say, plays rock music, is a star, or consumes Rockstar energy drink while coding for Rockstar Games during the shooting of the Mark Wahlberg vehicle Rockstar, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure where the Rockstar comes in. I suppose it conclusively proves that the phrase Rockstar no longer has anything to do with rock and roll music, if it ever did.
No, exactly.
You can be an accounting rock star, according to the boring cunts that surround me in my office all the time.
If you get a good enough return on someone's taxes, accounting or so.
Lyrics, do you have anything else
I
to
just
say
wanted to
about
say,
DaBaby's?
so during DaBaby's 2020 up close and personal tour, Tom, I don't know how much he was touring in 2020, but he obviously was. He was getting up close and personal, which I think is sort of in direct violation
That's
of COVID-19.
way too close to firearm range as
Yeah,
well.
well, exactly right. Exactly.
Behind some
So,
plexiglass.
yeah, I think it's problematic to get up close and personal to DaBaby at any point in time. But look, he slapped a female fan on his way to the stage for a performance in Tampa, Florida. They love that shit down there, though, so don't worry about it. The crowd actually responded by booing, which is off-brand for Florida. And he left the venue without performing any songs. He said that he struck her because she placed her phone too close to his face while taking a video of him, and he had the flash on. She had the flash on.
Oh, okay.
And in a music video posted on Instagram, DaBaby had this to say: "I do apologise that there was a female on the other end. I think by the time, it's a well-known fact that male or female, I would have responded in exactly the same way."
Well, that's reassuring.
And that's what I like about DaBaby. He's a big advocate for equality between the sexes, Tom. He's not going to sort of differentiate. If there is a guy, there with a phone too close in the face, he will punch you in the face.
Yes.
If there's a girl there with a phone too
That's
close
right.
to the face. He will knock her fucking teeth out. And that's what I love about him. He does not discriminate whatsoever.
right.
He's always been about that equality of the sexes. And look, I think that's always been the main thrust of his music, from what I can understand. More representation of women in music, in business, in politics, and also he will punch the fuck out of you if you hold a phone too close to his
That's
face.
right.
So you got to respect that. You got to respect that. There are boundaries with DaBaby, and all I can say is that she is lucky that she only got slapped in the face
That's
because
true.
most people go home in a fucking body bag when
That's
they're near
right.
DaBaby. So look, absolutely. And look, Tom, I think what you got to learn with DaBaby is that at these live performances, he is a live wire. He's up there, he's performing, he's putting his all into it. You get too close to him with a phone, he'll punch you out. But also, he has his own really strong supporter base. It sort of feels like a community for him, Tom, when he's performing DaBaby. He's up there while he was performing at Rolling Loud Festival in Miami Gardens, Florida. Once again, they do whatever they like down there. He said, quote, "If you didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, or any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2 or 3 weeks, then put a cell phone light in the air, ladies. If your pussy smells sick like water, put a cell phone light up in the air. Fellas, if you ain't sucking dick in a parking lot, put your cell phone light up in the air." Now,
It's a select club.
people said that these comments
I
made
imagine in Florida there were about 3 phone lines.
Exactly. So people said that these comments regarding sucking dick, if you're a guy, HIV, AIDS, may have been homophobic, may
Yes.
have had that. So, and that's one way of looking at it. But as I said, I disagree with DaBaby. I agree with him on all topics because he is quite trigger happy. You don't want to get on his
I
wrong
wonder how
side.
DaBaby feels about the vaccine, Ben.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
Just
Tom.
scratch my head on that one.
What he did have this to say though: what me and my fans do at the live show, it don't concern you on the internet.
Well, particularly not if you don't perform because
Yeah.
you're a pussy little bitch who can't handle it when people boo you for attacking a woman for
Yeah.
trying to take your photo. But sure.
So what he does at his concerts is just him, his supporters. It's their thing. It doesn't,
No.
us outsiders, Tom, we don't have the right to comment because we don't understand the world that he lives in. He also went to claim that gay fans of his do not have AIDS because they're not nasty ass gay N-word or junkies.
Sure.
So, and look, who's to argue with that? I don't really know.
True.
So he's got
so-
gay fans, but they don't have AIDS.
Okay.
So fair enough.
DaBaby's lucky that we live in a time before anybody's invented some sort of portable recording device that, could perhaps take down what you said or did in a public place. But yeah.
So
One day that'll happen and then DaBaby might
True.
be in trouble.
So he does have some controversial things to say, but, freedom of speech, Tom, let him go, because I don't want to get shot down. Now, Tom, if you're wondering where, this sort of homophobia and weird treatment of women and love to shoot people down and all those sorts of things, and you're probably right, anti-vaxxer as well, if you're wondering where all of those things come from... Florida A, and also his religious beliefs, Tom, where he does say, quote, "I'm blessed, I'm covered by the blood of Christ." So I think he's sort of
someone, innocent bystanders.
He may
probably.
actually, that's true. Should just anyone near him
Wearing it.
covered in that blood. But I think he is the new Jesus. I think that's sort of something that he's sort of playing with
Another
there as
new
well.
Jesus.
So this is what I like about him. I like him more and more. And that's what I find, that when you do have a strong religious belief, you can almost do whatever you want. And then if it's good,
Apparently.
you can...
Hey, Mel Gibson's still working.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, it's God's plan, Tom. God has crazy plans, and sometimes that involves shooting people and slapping women and saying that homosexuals should all die of AIDS. That is just all part of God's plan, Tom.
That's true.
Channeled through imperfect vessel of DaBaby, but, power to him.
That's right.
What are the lyrical highlights here?
Yes, well, this was written by the Rappers and produced by a guy called Seth in the Kitchen, who also plays the piano. I think he does, and he does in the video.
Did he work on Martika's kitchen, perchance, Tom? I
Maybe,
hope so.
maybe. I can't really quote this song because there's at least one N-word in every single line, but it's largely just a sort of Second Amendment advocacy joint wherein DaBaby talks about how his mum is fine with him murdering people with a gun, how his daughter's a G because he had to murder people with a gun in front of her while she was a baby, but she's chill about it, how he just bought a brand new gun to murder people with, how women are sexually attracted to him due to his proficiency at murdering people with a gun, and how he's a metaphorical rock star in that, you know, much the same way that a traditional musician, Kenny Loggins, say, or Rolf Harris, would use a musical instrument to entertain people. DaBaby used a gun to murder them with. But yeah, oddly enough, before Rockstar, DaBaby had a hit with Popstar, wherein he expressed the idea that now he's on the charts, people will probably be calling him a pop star, which he says is ironic because popping is also a colloquialism sometimes used to refer to the process of murdering people with a gun bin, an activity that DaBaby is still enthusiastically involved in on a daily basis, regardless of the potential recategorisation of his musical output. You know,
at least he's consistent in terms of his lyrics.
You can call him a pop star, but don't call him someone who isn't going to murder you.
No, I would never say that, definitely. I think that it is best to just stay on good terms with DaBaby and not to sort of criticise him in any way, shape,
Put
or form.
about a kilometre between you and DaBaby at all times, I would say.
It's also a brazen move to pull a gun on DaBaby in a Walmart because let's imagine that DaBaby didn't have a gun and someone pulled a gun on him and sort of, you know, took his phone or robbed him or something. Because you're in the Walmart, DaBaby can just pop over to aisle 3, purchase a semi-automatic rifle and some ammunition, and, you know, you'll be gunned down in about 3 seconds. And that's
true.
the brilliance of America. That
is true.
You know, it's sort of it's like the Cold War of sort of, but in terms of just supermarket shopping, you don't want to pull a gun on someone because they can just go and buy a gun and then pull it back on you. So nobody pulls a gun on anyone. It's just sort of like
handy if you're in the middle of a gunfight, say in the soft furnishings aisle at Target, and you run out of ammo mid-gunfight. You can just
go and
pop over
some.
to the ammo counter and get some more.
Well, I think that's sort of what I've always assume when I watch action films, and it's like, you know, the Bruce Willis character always has unlimited ammo.
That's true.
And what's happened is you just know that he's able to go and buy some from any sort of counter in a shop. But the director has taken the sort of saying no one wants to see.
It's so commonplace we can assume that that's taking place off screen. Like you never see him go to the toilet either, or eat a sandwich. No. We just know that he's done that at some point during the day. The same way an American will stock up on 12-gauge shotgun rounds while getting a coffee in the morning. On and
you know, your Ivan Reitman doesn't need to sort of put that into the script because it's sort of,
it would be redundant.
Like, that would be boring to sort of like Bruce Willis has run out of ammo. He's gone over to R3. He's purchased some. He's this is in the 80s, so he's had to pay with cash, get the change. That's like 2 or 3 minutes you don't need. So it's just assumed that that's what's happened, and then it's just like, why has he always got ammo? It's like because it's America. You can buy it from literally fucking anywhere, as DaBaby has shown by just gunning people down all over the place. So, but he's in his right to do that. He's in his right. He's not behind bars.
No, he certainly isn't. He's in Florida, land of the free.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of murdering people, what have we got next? 6th of July.
All right, Tom. So, yes, up next, it is Jason Derulo, our friend, and Joyce 685
I
featuring.
reckon it's meant to be Josh.
Josh.
It's spelt Jawsh, but I reckon that's meant to be Josh.
Josh 685, Jason Derulo, Savage Love bracket laxed siren beat end bracket Tom.
Now, this must have made you pretty happy, Ben. I mean, firstly, we've established that you're a big Derulo fan.
Oh, huge, yeah.
And he hasn't been on the charts for a while. Secondly, I know you were suffering since Paulie from the Otaru Millionaires Club, singer of How Bizarre, passed away recently.
Yeah, absolutely.
You must be happy to see another homegrown New Zealand hip-hop artist in the #1 slot. You know?
Very, very happy, Tom. But I do have some slight issues with this track itself.
Sure.
Happy with what you had to say, but look, Tom, if you touch someone on the boobs without their consent, that's sexual assault, correct?
Sure.
And look, unless you're a celebrity, and you can probably get away with that sort of thing, you have a problem with that. Yeah, it's unwanted attention.
Sure.
You have a problem with that. You don't have the permission to touch the boobs, then you're going to get into trouble. Possibly go to court, etc., etc. What happens if a New Zealand teenager creates a beat, in this instance, say the Lax Siren beat, and it takes off on TikTok, and then Jason Derulo takes that beat and creates a song out of it, let's say, for example, called Savage Love, that was unwanted without permission from the beat creator Josh 685. Permission hasn't been granted to do that. Is that oral assault or some sort of illegal type situation? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, yeah. Like, saddle up, listener, because this is how songwriting works now. Next time you're thinking of a little track. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I'll just go back to that. Yeah, so the Josh 685 story is that Kiwi producer and high school child...
Was he a high schooler at the time?
Yeah,
wow.
Josh 685 created the instrumental as a tribute to his Samoan and Cook Island heritage. 685 is the country code for Samoa. It's an example of what's called a siren jam, which is a New Zealand Pacifica trend of creating beats to play through siren speakers, like cheap sort of PA speakers, usually attached to cars or bikes. So you go around and you blast like a mobile disco kind of thing. It also became a viral trend on TikTok, with users inspired to post culture dance videos in which they celebrate their heritage by dancing to this original song while wearing traditional costumes. So what we've got here is basically a world music TikTok hit that Derulo got thirsty for and ended up having to share the credit for. On the other hand, he got his first top 10 hit since 2015, so, swings and roundabouts. Unlike Old Town Road, at least the person who actually wrote the song, part of the song, got their name in the title, and he insisted that the song be subtitled Laxed Siren Beat, to remind him of that time he was at a rave and got sold laxatives instead of ecstasy, I believe. So, yeah, this is how songwriting works now. Next time you're thinking of a title track for the next Art of Seduction album, forget about instruments. Just open up the odd YouTube app, type children music written in bedroom after school, get in contact with the first kid with a decent melody, wait till their parents aren't home, and then start reaching out and offering them money in exchange for services, Just make sure they know you only want to buy the song and not the homemade video of them twerking in their underpants, or it could get all weird.
Could get weird, definitely.
Yeah, after that it's basically job done. All you need is a vocal, so you go to the dentist, then straight after you spat into the sink, grab your phone and record a mushmouth soliloquy about how sparkly your watch is and why you need a gun big enough to put your dick down the barrel, Yeah. After that's pretty much job done,
Yeah, look, it is a weird one for me, because from what I understand, Derulo just did this without any permission at all whatsoever.
Yes.
Just went, I'm just going to take that beat, do a song for it, and then afterwards I think reached out, but it had already been released. Or I think it was originally released as just Savage Love without the Lax Siren Beat bracket part at the end, and then I think later on it was like, well, you got to give this dude songwriting credits. He wrote the instrumental. You got to do that. He has to be added as like a co-songwriter and put this thing.
At least with Lil Nas X, he paid the teenager $50 for the beat or whatever. So the guy doesn't get credit on the title of the track, but he legitimately exchanged money for it.
Definitely.
This is just, I just heard that thing on TikTok, now I'm stealing it.
Oh, exactly. Look,
but it did work out in the end,
Yeah, I mean, Josh 685 has done sweet fuck all since, so maybe Deluro has done him a favour by throwing some cash his way, but look, I don't know. Perhaps Josh 685 is working on the follow-up to Welcome to the Madhouse with Tones and I. Sure. We just don't know. It's the guy from Kazakhstan, Josh 685, Tones and I, down in Frankston, Tom, as we speak, working on that Welcome to the Madhouse follow-up. Can't wait for that. But look, it was reported that Josh 865 was in talks with multiple artists, including Derulo, apparently, to remix Laxed Siren Beat. But Derulo, quote, went rogue and released Savage Love without properly obtaining permission. So a source close to the situation said that Derulo wanted the song for himself and only to have Josh 685 as a producer. but Josh 685 wanted more control over the work and did not want to be, quote, bullied by a larger artist into putting the song out.
To be fair to Derulo, to give him a tiny bit of credit, in this one instance, it's possible that maybe he saw this thing blowing up on TikTok and went, someone is going to fucking steal that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in the, like, you know, there's that saying, it's easier to apologise than ask permission, you know, so maybe he's like, I'll get it out with my name on it, then if I have to deal with this fucking teenager who wrote this later on, then I'll do it. But it seemed like the teenager put up a pretty good fight and insisted that his name actually be on the song.
Yeah, good on him. So good on him for that.
And so, yeah, to distinguish this version of the song from the other earlier unauthorised remixes and stuff that were going around the internet, a vocalisation of Jason Derulo's name is heard before the song begins.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's still doing that, you know, but call me crazy, Ben. Wasn't Derulo telling us that he thought that was played out shit about a decade ago?
Yeah, I think so, but he's back doing it now, Tom, so that's all right. Yeah.
Apparently turned out it wasn't so played out after all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, and also, where does this fit in terms of his, you know, PG positive... versus the faux crass club thumper.
Well, this one's definitely PG because you stole it off a child.
Yeah,
so.
it's definitely it's not a faux crass club thumper.
I hope it's PG.
I think it's PG positive. I think, Tom. Yeah. So absolutely. Look, I don't know though. What the problem as well I have with this song is that when I did my TikTok dance, Tom, I had one of those little triangle hats.
Yeah.
And sort of was dressed in like a Chinese outfit with a jar of Cantong in my hand. True. And people said, you know, that's not on. You can't do that. So
they said, hey, that's cultural appropriation.
That's cultural appropriation.
That hasn't been okayed since 2005.
Exactly right, exactly. So, I mean, I wonder how many people took the Lax Savage beat and sort of did that sort of, you know, a cultural song that, you know... Siren Beat, Lax Siren Beat, Savage Love, that, you know, he was asking for, Josh 685 was asking for that, but I just want to know how many then got complaints about them saying, like, I don't know, mate, you shouldn't be doing that. You're a white man from Melbourne, you don't really have the authority to be sort of doing those sort of dances. But I think from all reports, Josh seemed to be pretty happy that people from all over the world were doing it.
Well, he was probably fine with it when it was just other people like him doing it.
Yep.
But then you see some guy who's had #1 hit records with his name attached to it, and then you'd be like, okay, well, if you're gonna do it, you know, this is not part of your culture at all, then, you know, I'm gonna need some scratch for this one.
Yeah, so, exactly right.
I mean, the video similarly is basically a sort of high-end Zoom call between the land of dreams and make-believe, aka Los Angeles, and the land of the long white sheep, aka New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't the Kiwis have maybe waited for a fucking sunny day to film their half of the video?
Yeah.
I doubt that this video is going to cause a Lord of the Rings style tourist influx to the, you know, grey-skied inner suburbs of Christchurch. You know.
No, I wouldn't have thought
I swear,
so.
There's one point at which they're having a dance party inside a fish and chip shop.
Yeah, no,
I'm telling
I know.
you that's happening.
I bet The Weeknd is glad that he filmed that Blinding Lights thing towards the very tail end of 2019, sort of early 2020, because for the rest of the year, every single music video was just, yeah, you're right, sort of, wouldn't it be funny if we did a music video over Zoom? And it's like, well, not really. And this sort of has the production values of that.
I'm not trying to shit on New Zealand at all. In fact, I would say the New Zealand half of the Zoom call is by far the less cliche half.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying that one of these locations looks slightly more glamorous on camera than the others.
Yeah.
Although, on the other hand, nobody in the New Zealand half is wearing $2,000 pre-ripped white jeans in 2020 either. So, you know, maybe they come out on top. The guy in front of the Bain Marie's doing better than, you know, some guy in a mesh vest on the edge of a cliff in Miami.
Now, Tom, Josh 685, as you mentioned, does have Cook Island heritage. He would probably want to register the website domain www.josh685.cock. I imagine. So because the Cook Island website domains don't get a lot of play, and as I learnt from the quality TV show Nathan Barley, you want that. You want to register your domain name in the Cook Islands just so you can get the .cock. So
Is that true?
yeah, it's .co.ck. So that's the whole joke of that TV series. If you've not seen it, his website is trashbat.cock, and he just says that for the whole series. And you're like, what? And then at the end of the show, like I think it's episode 5, he's like, yeah, it's registered in the Cook Islands, and then you can check it out, and that's what it is. If you type in .cock, it just defaults to .co.ck, I believe. So Cook Islands. So that's what he should be doing. Whether he is doing that, I'm not sure if he is. So he might just have a boring .co.nz website.
Nathan Barley was really underappreciated at the time, wasn't it? I mean, it's difficult to watch because everyone in it is extremely punchable, but yeah.
Exactly, I think sort of...
They really invented the Vice magazine cunt before Gavin McInnes even realised that they were a thing.
The thing is, though, because Black Mirror is
Also,
so popular
Nathan.
now, like, it's like Black Mirror is like, Netflix, pretty popular.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that people haven't went, oh, what else has Charlie Brooker written?
Oh, was
and then
that Charlie
back
Brooker?
and then gone back and went Nathan Barley, and obviously, it has people in it from the Mighty Boosh, etc.
Yeah,
so,
you recognise all the actors now.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of surprised it hasn't had a bit of a second life because it's still, I haven't watched it for a couple of years, but it's still quite funny.
Oh,
now.
yeah,
But,
and then you got show like, what's it called? What's the Fred Armisen one? Portland. What's that called? What's the Portland show? The one about Portland?
Portlandia.
Portlandia, yes.
Yeah.
God damn it. How did I forget that? Yeah, clearly people will watch a whole show of hipster jokes, so why not go back to the original?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. What else you got to say about this one?
Not much. Lyrics.
Yep.
Employing Tom's independent three-way artistic nominative classification algorithm system, or TITWANK. This is a pretty straightforward category A, or I Want to Bone You song.
Yeah.
The slight wrinkle here is that Derulo is not in the driver's seat for once. Baby, I hope this ain't karma because I get around. You want to run it up, I want to lock it down. Usually don't be falling fast. You got a way of making me spend up all my cash, which doesn't rhyme with fast, but never mind. Every night and every day, I try to make you stay, but your savage love, did somebody break your heart? Looking like an angel, but your savage love. When you kiss me, I know you don't give 2 fucks, but I still want that. So it sounds like Derulo is joining Dean Lewis, a.k.a. Be All Right, on our list of high-profile cucking enthusiasts. Man. Are you predicting that cucking will be the big chart kink of the early 2020s, in much the same way that lactation fetishes were such a big part of the early 2010s?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think that lactation fetish went on a bit further, as you may recall from Fergie's MILF money. But,
That's 100% pure lactation.
Correct. But, maybe it will do. Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
He sounds like he's really getting off on her kicking him into the gutter and telling him he's been very, very naughty.
Yeah. Derulo loves that sort of shit, I think, so...
Also, it has that very basic... God, there was another song that had that pretty much exactly the same line. It was Drake, where it was like talking about going out with Rihanna, saying like, "Oh, she's treating me the same way I treated other people," when it turned out it didn't feel very good. Like, oh yeah, really, you fucking genius, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think, well, at least at some point that occurred to you that.
Do you think he learned anything from it? Probably not.
Sure, well, not to haggle with New Zealand fucking teenagers because they will fuck you up.
Yeah, absolutely
this
right.
one. But yeah, whether Drake learned anything from tangling with Rihanna, I don't know.
I doubt it, yeah.
Probably not. Sure, what do we got next then?
Oh, time up next, 3rd of August. Oh, we're more than halfway through the year. It's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Cardigan.
Only 1 week.
1 week of this
Taylor.
one, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's...
Look, Taylor's back. This is one of 2 pandemic albums.
Yeah, I know.
She dropped 2 pandemic albums in 2020, so it goes to show that when locked in at home, Taylor's still work ethic, just get the fucking content out there. You can't stop her. Look, I guess because of the fact she probably was at home and doing a lot of the songwriting collaboration probably over Zoom, this is a bit more stripped back. Not as poppy as some of her other stuff. Look, dare I say, this falls into boring as shit territory. Or for me,
I'm with you. It's funny. Like we've talked about this before, but there are some people who prefer the more the sort of more acoustic-ish. Like it's very, very
quote, country sort of early material.
And the slightly, as opposed to her more recent, what was that called? Her more recent album, which is
Midnights,
which is very electro sounding, and some of her other collaborations with that one. This, so this is a debut single from her 8th studio album, Folklore. Credited to Swift and longtime producer-collaborator Aaron Dessner of The National, who is the producer of hers, who errs more on the traditional-ish side.
Yeah, they did a bit of collaboration, I think, on a couple of albums.
Oh, yes, that's what I mean. Of the two producers she's worked with recently, he's the one who's more on the acoustic side. Not acoustic, the real instrument side. But just to give you an idea of what, co-written actually means with an artist this big, even locked up at home. The real credits include vocals recorded by Laura Sisk, additional mixing by Jonathan Lowe, mastering by Randy Merrill, orchestration by Bryce Dessner, synth by Benjamin Lands, trombone by Dave Nelson, drum programming by James Millister, violin by Yuki Resnick, and cello by Clarice Jensen. When you take into account that this was recorded during lockdown and that Taylor is someone who, by pop standards, does do actually a lot of the work on her own tracks, you can infer how many people must feature behind the scenes on, say, a Beyonce album or something like that. If you multiply that by 12 and then double it and then take it out of lockdown.
When there's 10 songwriters, there's still other people that are actually doing the performing the sorts of actual... Like, someone has to play the guitar or do the keyboards.
And note, when I say... There's another example later, but when I say that this is on her more stripped down instrumental, real instruments type of stuff, by the standards of pop music, meaning it's incredibly heavily produced. There is nothing around this sounds like anything you would hear in a bar
this
or
anything.
anything.
This is the stripped back Taylor Swift that still has like 10 people performing on each track.
Yeah, and it's just produced. Like there's just production over everything, even her vocals, which are quite nice, that, everything's sort of like the video, which sort of looks through this kind of dreamy haze. The song sounds like it's coming filtered through this sort of haze of electro production. It's just that it does have a few real instruments on it. It's not just
definitely. Look, I think what I've learned from this is that her collaboration with the guy from The National over Zoom means that I need to get my Eurodance album out as soon as possible, because Beyonce has started the Eurodance Renaissance. Right. Actually, we learnt that some other people have started the Eurodance Renaissance even before Beyonce. So if I can get that out, there's, let's say, COVID 2024, 2025, COVID something. There's another COVID coming. Let's hope we're locked in our houses for another 2 years. It would be nice if I'm just sitting at home twiddling my thumbs, get a call from Taylor saying, yo, I hear you're the man to go and work with when it comes to Eurodance Renaissance. We can work on a few tracks together.
Don't even have to leave your house.
Yeah, for sure. Do that with Taylor, and then, it gets to number one because she's on the track, and then, the royalties will come trickling. And so that's sort of, I think, a bit of the game plan.
You better move fast, because knowing Taylor, she's probably got at least 2 full Eurodance albums half completed in the pipeline.
No doubt. Exactly right. So as you said, this is a bit more stripped down. The song, as we said, called Cardigan. Quote, according to Taylor, the song is about a lost romance and why young love is often fixed so permanently within our memories. So that's a departure from her usual work, isn't it, Tom? Talking about lost love. I don't really think we've heard that from her before. Good to see Taylor using the pandemic to sort of move in new directions and new lyrical themes. Do we need more songs about cardigans?
Oh, God almighty, yeah,
or,
I know.
Maybe just more songs from the Cardigans, perhaps, as well.
Yeah.
Who have been quite, since the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack. I don't think I can recall any songs from the Cardigans since then. Actually, they haven't been completely quiet since the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, from what I can recall. They did play themselves in an episode of Beverly Hills 90210.
The Cardigans?
Yeah, as the featured entertainment at the college graduation party hosted by Kelly Taylor's dad.
Would that have been...
that was in 1997, though.
That's pre-Romeo and Juliet, surely.
I think Romeo and Juliet came out in 1996.
Oh,
Tom.
okay,
So,
wow, okay.
yeah.
No, maybe they did Love Full at the prom.
So I think they did Love
Get
Full,
on.
and then they went on to 90210, and then maybe they haven't done a lot since then.
90210 kept going longer than I remember it going.
Yeah.
I remember it existing for about 6 months in 1994, but clearly my memory's out of whack.
Once they got the Peach Pit After Dark up and running, it was a whole new series. Tom. So,
I see.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen stepped into the role of when Brenda left, Shannon Doherty stepped out.
Shannon Doherty leaves a lot of shows, doesn't
she? She does. And then they got a bit of TAT in there, Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw her in it. I must have been,
No.
My main memory of 90210 was that time that Dylan took a fictional drug and got laid on the hood of a car. That's possibly the best one of all.
Absolutely.
Euphoria. He was high on the hits of the Australian EDM Eurodance act.
No doubt. Now, Taylor said that the song, I guess the crux or the sort of the sort of beginning point of this was that she thought about a cardigan that still bears the scent of loss 20 years later. Now, I've smelled those cardigans at op shops, Tom.
Yeah, loss isn't
that have a sort of 20-year scent of loss, and they don't usually
Death
smell.
is another word.
Exactly.
Mothballs.
Those cardigans aren't the best, but what you do is you sort of reach into the one of those front pockets. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll find a tenner in there that someone's left behind. So when you're in the op shop, go through the cardigan section. You can find some cash in there that someone's left behind. But yeah, they do. You're right. The smell of 20 years of loss does equal death, does equal kind of a depression that you don't really want to deal with.
It's also kind of... It's a weird thing to name your song after because it's also kind of a cliche of what people think of Taylor Swift being like in some ways, like the cliche of her being sort of this kind of slightly very white, very middle class kind of slightly wet performer, and a cardigan is such a sort of soft, cuddly, it's like calling yourself great big cup of milky tea or something, calling a song that or something. I mean, it's maybe she did that on purpose, but I'm not quite sure.
I think Tom, what you'll see is that for me, this song demonstrates that Taylor is a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, okay.
Because you think about this for a second, okay? Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Wear. They wrote entire songs of just promoting Wu-Wear. Kids went out, they bought the Wu-Wear. Taylor's obviously looked at that. She's looked at ODB, getting those bags from that Mariah Carey video clip. She's looked at everyone else that's in the Wu-Tang, RZA, ZZA, all that, RZA, SZ. I still don't know how to pronounce it correctly. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But what has happened is that Taylor has seen that the Wu-Tang Clan have written songs about the Wu-Wear, sold that on. She's written this song called Cardigan. What has she done? She's gone on to, she's got a merch store, of course she does, Tom, that's Taylor Swift, and she's selling a knit cardigan with silver star patches on the elbows representing this song.
Really?
Yes, she has done. She did do that. So this is effectively a Wu-Wear song.
Sure.
She's writing a song about cardigan, then she's just fucking flipping cardigans out the door. So, massive respect to that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, speaking of, synergy, she's the storyline for the song. Sorry. Hang on. What was I going to say? Yes, the storyline's followed by August and Betty, two other songs. She explained in a live chat when the album came out, there's a collection of 3 songs I refer to as the Teenage Love Triangle. These 3 songs explore a love triangle from all 3 people's perspectives at different times in their lives. And yet another artist has been inspired by the vision of Axl Rose to create a song trilogy.
Yes, absolutely.
And in the music video, which was written and directed by Taylor and shot during the COVID-19 pandemic, Taylor is shifting through different places by climbing into a magical piano. Again, I'm not sure if she was personally programming all the CGI effects or matte painting backdrops in her bedroom until 4 a.m. But at least she was involved in it. Like a lot of C+ pop videos, there's some pretty imagery, but it doesn't really add up to much in regards to the song's narrative or anything else either. And yeah, we know that because the song is supposedly part of a teenage love triangle. But yeah, I mean, I know you're also a big Use Your Illusion fan, Ben. What themes are you planning to explore across the audio-visual trilogy on your new John Bon Jovi album, do you think? You know?
Yeah, well, I think...
or are you going to go further into a quadrilogy?
I might go quadrilogy. Look, I think...
it's time someone stepped up and did a quadrilogy.
Yeah, the first single is Welcome to the Bone Zone, Tom.
Sure.
So that'll probably set the scene. I think sort of from a thematic sort of point of view, the trilogy will involve boning, I think. So Welcome to the Bone Zone is sort of self-explanatory on that. The next song is called Pumping.
Sure.
Which I think sort of follows a very similar theme. I don't want to give too much away, but the chorus to that one is sitting in my room, listen to Chumbawamba tub thumping. Next thing you know, we're naked and we are pumping. That's sort of like, and I think that's sort of a real life sort of scenario where I think a lot of people probably are sitting around listening to sort of Chumbawamba tub thumping, and that would lead into some sort of sexual intercourse, I think. So I think Welcome to the Bone Zone sets that sort of pumping thing, and then into that, boning into pumping. So I think that's sort of what it's going to follow on into that. And then the third song is sort of, I think it's a story as old as time where you're out on the street, just walking down the street, you see someone running out of Zammels the jeweler or some other high-end jewelry shop, and they're getting chased by the cops. Yeah. And they've run past you, and you've got a glimpse of their face, you've seen them, and then they've escaped, and then all the security footage is all deleted, and the cops come up to you and say, you saw the person that committed this crime. Yeah. We want you to testify against them in court. Yeah. So in effect, the cops want you to finger them, don't they? Sort of like want you to do that. So I think that's what the song's about. And there's a bit of a double entendre there because the cops want me to finger them in a very much a criminal case, point the finger and accuse them, but they're also very attractive, and I don't want to finger them in a legal sense because
you might lose the opportunity to finger them
correct,
in a literal sense.
Exactly, in a literal sense, exactly. So there's that's the trilogy. So it's definitely it's a very sensual trilogy, I think, Tom. So that's sort of what I'll be working with there. So
like as Taylor sometimes does, that you'll sneak for the hardcore fans, you'll sneak in a few references across the trilogy. Perhaps, at one point during one of the videos, there's a storm which could be a reference to Boner Storm, one of your earlier musical acts. And during that storm, perhaps in the background, somebody might be so driven to madness by the southern boner storm, if you will, that they dive through perhaps a giant boner-shaped cake that happens to be precariously balanced
on
the edge of a table in the background.
Well, much like Taylor Swift, I'll be leaving a lot of Easter eggs in the material, Tom, for the fans to get in there, I think. So certainly that's what I'm doing. And yeah, you're right. You want to sort of create that sort of trilogy where there's some of the same themes that are throughout. Yes. And I think at the end of that, people can sort of see that they're not going to see that as just three individual video clips or film clips. They're not going to look at that as three. They're going to see that as a body of work. Yes. That's sort of, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And that's what Taylor's done with this. That is obviously what Guns N' Roses have done. That's what I will be doing, Tom.
The Blade trilogy.
The Blade trilogy. Exactly right. Exactly. So that's the aim with that.
The Matrix, each one better than the last.
Each one better than the last, for sure. They all added up to something really, really special. So, absolutely.
Lyrics?
Yeah, tell me.
This is pretty simple narratively. She seems to be talking about a relationship where one partner knew they had real love going on with the other partner, but had to watch the boyfriend, in this case, go after someone new and then come back to them. And when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favourite. A friend to all is a friend to none. Chase two girls, lose the one. When you are young, they assume you know nothing. I don't know about you, but when I was young, my girlfriends were few and far between, but they certainly understood me a lot better than I understood myself. They definitely knew I knew nothing, which was accurate. On the other hand, I never wore cardigans, black lipstick, or made romantic allusions to Peter Pan at age 31, so maybe I was ahead of Taylor in a couple of areas. But yeah, she still can't help dropping a cheesy romantic allusion in the middle of a song.
Lost love will get her through.
I mean, who the fuck thinks of Peter Pan during romantic stuff? It's this weird fucking fairy tale written by a pedo. What the dude? Anyway.
Yeah.
This is not my favourite of Taylor's. I don't mind some of her stuff, but yeah.
Oh, no, this sucks. Yeah, absolutely. When she's doing poppy sort of upbeat sort of stuff, she's got some good hooks. This is sort of just a bit shit. So,
yeah.
I think, ironically, even though she started off in the realms of sort of more of a country type artist, I think her strongest work is probably when she's sort of doing pop music.
Yeah, or when she's not halfway between the two. I think as well, it's also a demonstration that even for people with a good work ethic, like people who can work hard during a fucking global lockdown when everyone else is crying under a blanket, drinking gin and watching Tiger King, not that I would have done that. That being prolific, especially when you're a bit stuck for ideas due to a lack of stimulus, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to produce good stuff. Sometimes you're better keeping your powder dry. I think so. Watching a few episodes of Tiger King, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But look, this album did sell 1.27 million copies.
Oh, yeah,
so
sure. But I
guess for a bit of a lockdown project.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Done quite well.
Yeah. She's never had a flop, but I think by Taylor standards, that's not one of her biggest.
No.
Yeah.
But I think in 2020, anybody selling a million copies is sort of insane because nobody really buys music anymore.
True that.
So good on that.
Sure. All right. Who have we got next?
A couple more weeks of Derulo and Josh 685 for Savage Love, and then 24th of August we get, holy shit, we're here, Tom, Cardi B featuring Megan Thee Stallion, WAP.
WAP. Now, I don't know what that stands for, Ben, but maybe we'll find out over the course of
dare say we will.
6 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
This is Cardi B's fourth Billboard #1, but only her first #1 in Australia. This is neither of them have appeared on the charts here yet, so this is their first appearance.
Now, Tom, I know this is off-brand for me because I usually shit on all of the songs, or at least 90% of them, and people would just assume that I would be like, oh, what the living fuck is this? But I'm a big fan of this one, predominantly because it is just so fucking ridiculous. I like the audacity of writing and recording a song called Wet Ass Pussy.
Yep.
I like that. And then not only just saying we're going to record a song called Wet Ass Pussy and throw it on the album. Cardi B's went, fuck that, it's a single. We're going to release that as a single.
Yes. Even in 2020, she had to fight for that. Apparently, the record label, weirdly enough, were not that keen to this be the first. That's the main.
Then we're going to film a ridiculous music video for it, which is completely insane.
And don't forget, she performed it at the fucking Grammys as well.
For sure. So power to that, and not only that, power to producing something with lyrical content that really resonates with the Australian public, I think, Tom. So much so that it's deservedly, #1 for 6 weeks. Look, the public have clearly been starved for just a really, really long time of what they really want in music.
Yep.
Cardi B has delivered on that. We've seen, throughout the year, we've had songs about, we've had a dancing monkey. Yep. We've had, a song about someone's fucking cardigan, rappers acting like rock stars. But all they wanted the entire time was a song about extremely saturated snatch.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Look, the track itself is catchy, like you say. It's built around It reminded me a little bit of Anaconda, which we talked about a bit last week. Like you say, not meant to be taken seriously at all. Got to admire the audacity, but this makes that seem like
takes
something quite reserved. Yeah, like Anaconda, the track is built around a bass-heavy beat and a looping sample of DJ Franksky's Whores in This House.
Yep.
Which may explain the video, which features a bunch of whores in a house. Did you see the video?
Oh, Jesus, did I? Yep.
There's a censored vocal one or a normal one.
Yep.
The top of the YouTube list version video features vocal censorship, which is utterly ridiculous at this point. I mean, it's been performed at the Grammys, for fuck's sake. It means that instead of saying wet ass pussy, the chorus is now wet and gushy. Which totally sounds much worse. It sounds like what the clown from It would say while pushing children into a storm drain.
I mean, wet ass pussy is like, you know, it's kids probably just what's it? It's a song about a cat or something. A drain or something.
It's totally gross and lurid, but at least
wet
it's
and
like
gushy
honest.
is just like
fucking disgusting. Yeah,
absolutely
gushy as well, not gushy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Did you watch the video?
Oh yeah, watched. Yeah, I absolutely did.
The Colin Tilley production is restrained and sophisticated affair, full of understated visual symbolism. And hardly any torrential elevator in the shining flood tanks full of pussy juice flowing down hallways.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity, I think, Tom, yeah.
It mostly features the two title artists and Kylie Jenner, or Kendall Jenner, or Kenna Toys, one of those ones.
Yeah.
In a cruel irony, I believe she had all her own internal fluids vacuumed out to say wait at 13 on orders of her mother. So the constant mentions of moisture in the song must make her quite sad, or would if she was capable of expressing
very
any
triggering,
emotions.
yeah, absolutely.
But, I don't like the video too much because it looks sort of flat and dated and a bit dull, really, given the subject matter. It looks like Fergie's Milk Money video from a year ago with more ass crack. It's got that deliberately kind of flat.
Yeah.
Even the twerking choreography isn't too impressive by modern standards. And I mean, if you're an ex-stripper singing about vaginas and you can't make wiggling your own look interesting, then, what else have you got to fall back on at that point? But, I think the song is more fun than the video, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, I agree with that.
But hey, that's just my own.
Yeah, look, Tom, great art, as we know, asks more questions and answers it provides, and as is the case here, how wet exactly is a wet ass? When it comes to pussy. I mean, Cardi B has provided the answer early in the piece with the line, bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass pussy. Now, it was, Jesus Christ, it would seem that Cardi B's snatch is, like one of those great geysers in Iceland,
Yep.
just sort of blasting a thick stream of liquid periodically from deep inside. And geyser is, derived from the Icelandic word for gushing, which sort of works in well with, as you said, the radio edit, which sort of means that. So, I guess that sort of bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass pussy really paints a picture of sort of just, what's going on with that. So, look,
sure does.
I will say this, Tom, and I cannot stress this enough. If Cardi B comes over, to your house for a cup of tea, or some Hennessy, as the case may be, make sure you direct her away from any carpeted rooms in the house, because there's some things a bucket and a mop just cannot assist with.
Also, any electrical equipment, I would say,
for sure.
Yeah.
Look, and I don't know what was going on at the Grammys this year. They usually lay down the red carpet when the stars arrive, but when Cardi B's cars pulls up, you want to lay down a fucking tarp, and several of them, I dare say.
Right.
Because that pussy is just getting fucking out of control.
I believe at the Grammys they forgo the red carpet in favour of a giant slip and slide, so she could just open her limo door at the top of the street and just slide.
Just open the snatch up,
into...
and then it just flies out, and she just slips and slides straight into a seat, which is fair enough. Absolutely. Now, I don't know. I assume, Tom, you've got a lot of lyrical highlights to this because the whole song is just a lyrical highlight. But I think I think for me the lyric, he bought a phone just for some pictures of this wet ass pussy, is a highlight for me because I'd like to imagine the scenario where Cardi B's man is just at like the Vodafone shop looking to upgrade to the iPhone 12. and the staff member's like, "Oh, what sort of phone do you need?" And he's just like, "Well, I do need a phone with a better resolution so I can get some high quality dripping vagina, shots." And look, and I know what he means though. Look, I don't really I'm not going to criticise the man when it comes to that, front about purchasing a phone for the wet ass pussy. I mean, you want the best quality phone camera on the market, I think, at the time, to capture those important family memories.
Yeah.
Anyone with kids will sort of be like, I wanted that. You don't have time to reach out and get out your sort of, SLR camera and do that. You want a good quality phone camera to get the photos of the kids. And just like that, the man wants the best quality photos of Cardi B's snatch at any given time. Just ask Teo Cruz, those Kesha pussy photos from, his song earlier in the decade.
No.
They haven't stood the test of time. In fact, Kesha's pussy, if you zoom in on that, looks like a melted candle at this stage. So I think what you want is Teo Cruz would be like, fucking hell, if only I had iPhone 12 capabilities when Kesha was sending me those snatch photos. But he didn't.
I hope for his sake he bought one of those waterproof rubber outer coatings for his iPhone. Otherwise, he would have been taking it back very quickly with the voided warranty.
Indeed.
Got time for a quick outrage report.
Oh, yeah.
Relating to this song in particular. James P. Bradley, a Republican senator for the House in California, said Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are what happens when children are raised without God and without a strong father figure. Their new song, the WAP, which I heard accidentally, made me want to pour holy water in my ears, and I feel sorry for future girls if this is their role model. Another Republican hopeful in California, Deanne Lorraine, tweeted, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion just set the entire female gender back by 100 years with their disgusting and vile WAP song. In a follow-up, she added, remember, Bernie Sanders campaigned with Cardi B. Just giving Bernie Sanders an extra 100,000 votes there in case he needed him. Good work, Conservatives, always doing free publicity for musicians and left-wing politicians by making them seem way cooler than they are by contrast.
100 years, that's you reckon set back 100 years? That's a lot,
That's nearly as much as preventing them from having abortion.
I was going to say the Conservatives are doing quite well at setting back.
Similarly, professional troll and small boy Ben Shapiro dedicated a segment on his show to reciting the lyrics to WAP, saying that they were vulgar, disgusting, and sardonically adding that the song is what feminists fought for. Shapiro, who is 40 years old, repeatedly used the phrase wet ass P word because he's too much of an F word, P word, C word to swear on his own radio show. He added that his wife, a doctor, said that it sounded like a problem these women had. As you might imagine, my wife says having a wet vagina means there's a problem did not turn out to be the brilliant defensive ploy he clearly intended it to be. If you can't figure that out, then the nuanced idea that feminism includes the right to sluttishly wallow in your own sexuality the way men have been doing for thousands of years is going to be a bridge too far. In an interview with Billboard, very popular woman of the moment, Carol Baskin from Tiger King, criticised the lurid video, saying that the worst part of it is that it glamorises the idea of rich people having tigers as pets, which they do in the video. Cardi responded, I'm not going to engage with Carol Baskin on that. Like, that's just ridiculous, Like, girl, you killed your goddamn husband. And when the song was performed at the Grammys, it drew 80 complaints to the FCC. Although that's not too bad when you think about the 1,300 complaints they got for J-Lo and Shakira's less claggy performance at the Super Bowl that same year.
Yeah.
And just guess how many they received in 2004 after Janet Jackson showed 3/4 of one boob for 0.6 of a second.
Oh, 10,000?
540,000. So it seems like even America may have been gradually getting tired of self-important outrage. I mean, not that you would know that from watching politicians, but perhaps the public, just don't care about wet-ass pussies and very briefly exposed nipples the way they used to.
I think if you had to sum up 2020 in a sentence, Tom, it would be that they asked Carol Baskin from Tiger King what she thought about the Wet Ass Pussy music video.
Or indeed
Seems to
anything
sort
at all.
of just be like, who the fuck is this? Someone that was famous for about 2 weeks because they breed tigers or whatever about Cardi B's video clip. Ridiculous. So look, I guess what I found interesting though was that, as you mentioned, Tom, with that sort of the idea of having a radio edit for this is just the most insane thing anyone can think of. It's something else that I found like sort of quite clever on the part of Cardi B to say, let's release this as a single, let's make this music video, and then we better make a radio edit where we put wet and gushy in instead of wet ass pussy, which is ridiculous. What's interesting is that, I guess when you've got a song where Cardi B's snatch is like a credit card that you're meant to, swipe your nose through Cardi B's snatch like credit card, I guess it's probably not going to really fly that you're going to be able to have a song like that where you mention wet ass pussy and various other things.
Yeah.
But I guess the good thing about the music video is that Cardi B was still able to wear a top with holes cut out where her boobs could just sort of flop out of those. Although, the nipples were covered by a little small sort of tassel type thing, so it was okay for the kids to watch, so which was good.
They look pretty uncomfortable in most of that video.
Yeah.
I hope they took a lot of moisture breaks in
Oh,
between takes.
definitely. I don't know, like, for you, Tom, were there any takeaways from this song, apart from the fact that you're obviously going to get dishpan hands finger blasting Cardi B?
Yeah, not really. I think, as in the lyrics, I think if you're going to do a song like this, you just got to go all out. And
you do.
That's why I feel like they kind of did with the song, but that's why I felt like the video and the radio edit were a bit of a cop-out. I feel like the live performance and the song itself were in the true nature of just balls to the wall. I've just wrote a song called Wet Ass Pussy.
It does make...
It takes me back to the days of the 90s where we had songs like Cop Killer, which was about killing cops, by a band called Body Count, or Killing in the Name Of, which was about how police were killing in the name of things, so you could get drunk at parties and give teenagers an excuse to swear really loudly and piss their neighbours off. I'm sure there are 14-year-olds out there drinking Bundy and Cokes and singing Wet Ass Pussy, happy in the knowledge that their parents would be appalled if they could see.
Oh, no doubt. But it does make it look rather quaint how people used to complain about Salt and Pepper's Let's Talk About Sex.
Yeah, I know.
Which was just a song where they said, let's have an open discussion about sex.
Yeah.
And people went, whoa, holy shit,
Well,
they're talking about that.
like I was saying, even Janet Jackson's nipple, that was only 15 years ago, and that seems fairly tame, but at this point, by the standards of lyrics, extra large and
All
extra
of them.
hard. Put this pussy right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card, like you say. The lyrics go all out and don't pretend otherwise. A bit like Anaconda. If your song's called Giant Cock or Gaping Vagina, then yes, it would be funnier if it was about Antiques Roadshow. But realistically, people are going to want to hear you do the full 2 Live Crew filth parade.
Yep.
The only thing I find weird about it is bragging about how wet your pussy is. Unless you're sort of post-menopausal or suffering from a medical condition, I would have thought that bragging about being able to get a wet pussy would be like a dude bragging that he can achieve an erection. Oh, yeah, fair point. That's about 60% of hair metal and gangster rap. Yeah. No, that's all I've got to say. I think the song really speaks for itself, Ben. It's beginning with the title and goes on from there.
It does really speak for itself, yeah, absolutely. But I'm just glad that Cardi B was able to provide the Australian public with what they wanted, because people obviously listened to this enough to get it to number 1 for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, for sure, more wet pussy tracks, I think we're going to see coming in the future, one would hope.
Well, we can only hope, sure.
Absolutely. But, is the only way to improve on this is to write a song about a wetter pussy? Is that, bucket and a mop is one thing, but I'll leave it to, the lyrical geniuses,
I'd like to think
Max
Taylor
Martin.
Swift.
Yeah, Taylor
will
Swift,
see what
she
can
should
come
be able
up
to do
with.
something. Yeah, exactly. She'll be able to come up with something.
So, what do we got next then?
8th of October, Tom, it is 24K golden featuring Ian Dior, Mood.
Mood, yes, a big one. I never heard this one before, but
Yeah.
11 weeks, including the next few songs pop up and interchange a bit. So this goes right through the end of the year and into next year, this song with a few bits in between. Surprise hit for two young guys that hadn't done much previously. Shot to number one here and in the US, mainly on the strength of a catchy hook and a sort of lightweight, strummy guitar part that gives it a sort of summery pop vibe. And, you know, if you'll forgive an old person, for me, it helps it make it feel more like a sort of actual relationship-themed pop rap jam along the lines of an old Jazzy Jeff song, you know, or like a De La Soul B-side or something, than a lot of the sort of staccato, melody, vacant, Drake-flavoured bullshit that we get a lot of today.
Yeah, so as you said, we've got a lot of weeks of this for 24 Karat. He's sort of, I guess, what's the track about? He's complaining that his chick's kind of always acting like a bit of a bitch, isn't
Always
she?
having a mood, yeah.
Always like,
There was a Bieber song along the same lines that was, it was like, what's up with you all the time? You on your period or something?
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
And then this track is another one, Tom, that first gained traction on TikTok. I think, as you said, due to that hook.
The third
Bit
song
of a
this
hook,
year.
so you get something. You upload the 10 seconds of hook onto TikTok. It gets replayed a billion times, and then people want to listen to the whole song. So
I hate TikTok. Sorry, that's just me personally.
Yeah, look. Quote from 24 Karat Golden. It's really crazy because I wasn't even trying to make music that day. I, for one, kind of wish he'd taken the day off, to be completely honest, because certainly don't need this track in my life. I will say that.
Yes, no, he mentioned that they were sitting around and he heard, Omer Fedi, who's credited on the track, Omer was strumming away a bit on he just made up that hook, and he just did he just had did the little chorus hook over the top of it, and that's the whole song basically. Everything else is just, dressing on top of that shit. It's credited to Ian Dior, 24 Karat Golden, plus producers Kay Beasy, Blake Slatkin, and Omer Fedi. From the sounds of it, that Omer did the guitar part in the original. I thought it was a sample because it is really catchy. I mean, it's got catchiness if it's got anything else.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Omer has worked with Sam Smith, Machine Gun Kelly, and Post Malone.
Oh, geez, three of the biggest.
Yeah, it made me think, is it possible that this entire time Omer Fedi has been the secret genius behind the scenes, using his own talent to prop up these creatively barren artists,
Possibly.
If so, does that make him a great musician of our times or a man who should be on trial for hate crimes?
Yeah, definitely. Probably the latter, I dare say.
Another question, if you've got time. What do you think that Ian Dior and 24 Karat Golden are the new Crisscross?
I'd hope so.
In the sense that they're two teenagers with equally laughable haircuts, and they've successfully produced one hit song with a great deal of resistance between them.
Yeah, I think so. They do wear their clothes in the correct manner, though, so I wouldn't quite go as far as saying that they're new Crisscross. But I think, Tom, what sort of strikes me with this, it's just, the work ethic of Gen Z. You know what I mean? I wasn't even trying to make music that day. That's just sort of, isn't that just so fucking typical? Just walk into the studio, I'm just going to play PlayStation all day, not going to bother even trying to make music because that's too hard to do my job, which is being a songwriter and a creative talent, writing, songs for our generation, but, just couldn't be bothered really, and then fortunately, someone else went, I'll better do it for you then. And then that, he comes up with a hit. And it's just sort of, just shows for me, just the absolute lack of commitment to anything.
I mean, back in my day, we had people like Stockaken and Waterman who put 15 or 20 minutes into a song, at a time. Between the three of them in the back of the car on the way back from the pub,
Exactly right.
To come up with lyrics like, I should be so lucky, 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 lucky,
Kylie's coming in today. We need to write it. Oh, okay, fucking hell. Let's put the coke away. Let's get onto this. And then, you're right. They would commit a solid quarter of an hour. and they'd
know.
come up with a song. Whereas nowadays the kids are like, I don't want to do it.
That's
I don't
right.
want to do music today. So I'm just going to play the PlayStation, and like someone else has to do it for them, and then they just,
That's right.
why are you always in a mood? And then they sort of, just do
And I
that.
mean, it's easy for me to look at this and think, well, I could make a good song if I had 3 separate producers working on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, back in the day, Stockache and Waterman, they only had a Nintendo ROB to do the production
I know
on
they
their
did. Absolutely.
on their thing.
They were doing it
those
all on a
things,
Commodore 64, I think.
as
so
anyone
it's
who's ever used one, take 20 minutes to move one small plastic disc from one side of a Nintendo joypad to the other side. It was a slow way to write songs.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look, so 24 Karat Golden, since this track, he's released 11 non-album singles.
Yeah.
All of
In
which
the-
have failed to chart.
So he's following the Tones and I.
He's following the Tones and Iron Iggy Azalea sort of route of just throwing shit at a wall and
Yeah.
hoping that something sticks.
I know. Last week I was talking about that new model of maybe not releasing albums anymore, but I'm starting to see some holes in in this business model. I think maybe the world's not ready for that business model yet.
The problem is though, and
Unless you're Kanye, maybe he can get away with it.
I do feel a little bit sorry though for 24K Golden because he was forced into the industry. I don't really know whether he wanted to be a musician or be famous at all. I don't really know what growing up he wanted to do, but I feel like this is something that his parents sort of forced him into. And he sort of went, okay, I'll reluctantly take on the role of being a pop musician because his real name is Golden Landis Von Jones. And you can't really work in an office with that name, Tom. You if your parents
have jewelers,
I think so, yeah. If your parents have named you Golden Landis Von Jones, you sort of have to pursue some sort of creative career or trying to become an actor or a TikToker or whatever the fuck it is that kids want to do some sort of YouTube thing or something. But yeah, you can't just go and get a job, you're right, at like an office. Yeah, maybe Zamel's the jeweler, correct? You can do that, but just to sort of show up and go, I want to get a job, just working, at like a suburban accounting firm or something. So what's your name? Golden Landis Van Jones. They'd be like, you got to go and be a pop star.
I think Golden Landis Van Jones is more fun to say than 24 Karat Golden and
I think
easy
so.
to spell, probably.
Oh, well, look, I hope that he'll follow in, the footsteps of The Weeknd and he'll ditch his sort of stage name and just go on and do that, I think. So we can hope for that.
The video is pretty boring. It features way too much of the taint angle camera for my liking, where they have the camera facing up virtually with the person standing over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, also a great deal of 50% opacity overlaid cloud effects, which I haven't seen since Blood Sugar Sex Magic was the hottest shit out. So I think they're trying to make that come back, and I don't know if that's going to happen because it looks fucking
Is
ridiculous.
this a pandemic video, Tom, where they're just going,
Could be.
Let's just do what the Chili Peppers were doing 30 years ago?
That's a fair point. Actually, I had not taken that into consideration, but yeah.
They only had the effects available on their sort of...
Yeah, and they didn't have the Taylor Swift budget of making it look like it was done on a film set in your backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lyrics. Employing the tit wank. This is a straightforward category B song, an I'm tired of boning you song. Why are you always in a mood, fucking round, acting brand new? I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but try to play it cool. That plus Omar's guitar part is the hooky chorus that puts this one over the top into one-hit wonder territory.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to feign your love on the regular when you could be blowing up just like my cellular? I won't ever let a shorty go and set me up. Only thing I need to know is if you wet enough.
Ooh.
It's good to hear a new generation of Gen Z artists carrying on the rock tradition of getting annoyed at chicks for having emotions.
Yep.
And I would have added reducing their function to the moisture level of their vaginas. Except Cardi B already got there first, so maybe they're into that now. So, maybe he's right on track. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if...
Tell him if you're wet enough and,
do you reckon,
whether he needs a mop.
Yeah, did 24K Golden... Do you think that was already in the lyrics, or you think he heard the Cardi B song and just went, what people need is
right.
wet vagina content right now? So maybe it was, what was it the other week where someone made someone else re-record it? It was it that Senorita song where Remember Shawn Mendes? It had already been recorded, and then the other chick was like, you got to put this one line in there. So it made them re-record part of the song. It was like literally at the CD pressing plant. She's like, no, hold the press. We've got to record this. Maybe that's the same with 24 Karat Gold. The song was done, and then he heard WAP, and he's just like, fucking hell, got to get a wet pussy line in there.
Yeah.
Just to sort of tip it over the edge.
Part of the moment. Yeah, and
hey,
it works.
It did.
You've got 11 weeks for this thing.
Exactly.
I mean, it is catchy. It's not my favourite song of the year, but it's better than some of them. And it's got that. It's got that one-hit wonder vibe where you're like...
Oh, definitely. We'll never hear from either of these people ever again,
but
and I'm quite happy with that.
If you're listening to a 100% hits CD,
why are you always in the mood?
10 years from now,
definitely.
the way you will be, you might go, oh yeah, that song, I remember that. That was kind of catchy.
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right, what do we got? 2nd of November.
2nd November, Ariana Grande is back, Tom, with Positions.
Yes, only 2 weeks this time, but yeah, she's back again. As I think we've already confirmed, Ariana Grande is a Bratz doll who was brought to life by a warlock pedophile. So her musical range was always going to be a bit limited.
Yep.
But I thought this song was coming dangerously close to almost having a melody compared to most of her hits. I instantly forgot it 3 seconds after the song ended, but that's better than never being able to detect it in the song in the first place.
Correct. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, sometimes you listen to the songs and go, what? It's sort of just ended. I don't really know what's happened. It's
I was waiting for it to start.
It's just her kicking her legs up and down on the bed. But this time, you're right, definitely a bit of a melody in there. And what I like about this song, Tom, is that we get Ariana here. She's provided us with a bit of a sneak peek into the future. In the music video, where she's featured as the President of the United States of America, which I assume will one day happen. Not sure. Probably not 2024, I don't think.
Not the band, the person.
No. But yeah, exactly. For sure, yeah, exactly. So I think we can assume, she's not doing a cover of Peaches on this one, unfortunately, but that might be coming up on a future album.
I was going to say, at this point in history, I'd say she's probably overqualified for the job.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the music video, as we mentioned, Ariana is the President of the USA.
Yep.
I'm really surprised the music video didn't feature a sequence of her laying on the desk in the Oval Office, kicking her legs up and down.
I know.
With her hands under her chin.
I was waiting for it to happen.
Because every fucking music video she does that, I'm just like, she's the president. Get her on that desk. Do the legs up and down.
I panned back and forward trying to find the spot to see if there was one after I'd watched it, because I know there's one bit where she's got her head in an oven.
Yes.
And she's kicking her legs up in the air a bit there, but it's not quite. It's like a 60%.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where she's lying down with her head on her hands, and I keep waiting for the legs to appear in the background, but
whoever was directing this should have just been like, get on the fucking desk, kick the legs up and down, come on, what's going on?
Yeah.
So the lyrical theme of the song, Tom, discusses Ariana undertaking various roles for her partner.
Yes.
But they didn't call the song Roles. They could have called it Roles. Because it's like, here's the different roles I'll take. But they called it Positions, as this also implies a deep dicking element to that as well.
Yeah.
So effectively, Ariana is by day President of the United States of America in the video clip. Then when she gets home from a hard day at the office, she takes on the role of that sort of domestic goddess. Mm-hmm. She's cooking an amazing meal for her husband, making a dessert, doing all those sorts of things. And then after that, she takes up another role in the bedroom as the fuck toy for her partner to penetrate in any way that he chooses. Now, they're the sort of the positions that she's sort of taken on in the video clip. So let's drill down on this a little bit further, Tom. If Ariana is the President of the United States of America, shouldn't her husband be doing the cooking?
Yes, I was going to say, like a lot of these videos, it kind of hedges its bets.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's obviously sexualized in every image in the video.
Yeah.
Yet the video also has the kind of naive sterility of Hannah Montana's bedroom or a Katy Perry thing. The entire song is about devoting yourself to a man with a slavish intensity. Yet the video essentially features nobody else in it, except Grande and a few background extras as her staff. Like some 80s Playboy playmate, she's like writhing around in the kitchen, getting all flowery in lingerie and heels, despite being totally alone and lacking even the actual nudity of the softcore thing that they're evoking. It's like, this is sort of like titillation for the generation of empowerment via Instagram, and it's suitably weak as piss, I reckon. At one point she says fuck in the lyrics, and that's much racier than anything that happens on screen in the whole video, you know. And similarly, the entire sort of self-validated woman concept is slightly let down by every word in the whole song.
Oh, no doubt.
And every outfit choice in the video. But hey, maybe I'm being unreconstructed, you know. Obviously, a female president should be able to dress how they want.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely.
Do you reckon Hillary Clinton could have improved her chances with the American public if she dressed exclusively in 11-inch lucite stripper heels like Ariana Grande does in every single shot?
I think so. I think she could have, yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, yeah, she's been hard at it all day in the music video.
Yes.
You know, we don't see behind the scenes, but look, maybe she had to meet with Scott Morrison or invade Iraq or something like that. But, you know, the whole point of, I guess, the song is that it's like, you know, I'm going to do all these as your partner. I'm prepared to sort of cook for you. I'm prepared to clean for you. I'm prepared to then, you know, get boned by you, you know, all those sorts of things for sure. But I think probably including those things with being the president of the United States of America, maybe just took it a step too far for me. Maybe she could have just been Ariana Grande, the pop star. Maybe she could have just done that. I'm a pop singer. I'm going to also... But even then, Ariana Grande's not coming home and cooking the dinner. She'd have some sort, you know, she'd be getting Uber Eats, or she'd have like probably a live-in chef or some shit like that.
That's right. Or if you want to actually contrast it, why not do something interesting in the video and have the guy doing the concept of the verses? Like, why not have her acting as the president and having a guy doing all of the stuff that she's talking about in the video? So she's just singing in his role, like he's devoting himself to her and doing all of the actual shit.
Oh,
like,
exactly.
You know, you've been, like you say, you've been in the Oval Office all day, then you've got to put on a fucking Madonna costume, take all the rest of your clothes off, and roll around on the kitchen bench. You know,
exactly. I don't think Obama was fucking coming home and cooking up the meals. George W. Bush probably, he had the barbecue pit. I reckon he would have been coming home.
He had a full on man cave. I reckon
he would have come home from a day of being president, had a full hog on the rotisserie. I reckon every day and just crushed that down. I think so.
10-kilo bag of pretzels next to the sofa.
Absolutely. So the song "Positions" is off the album, also called "Positions."
Okay.
Tom. This is the first single. The follow-up single to this track was called 34 plus 35, which adds up to, wait for it, 69, Tom.
Oh my God, how do you decode these
So, Flow Rider has his blowjob anthem, obviously, and now Ariana hits us with a 69er anthem, just in case you're bad at maths, obviously. 34 and 35 adds up to 69, and she spells that out in the track at the end of the song with the lyric 34-35. Means I want a 69 with ya. So she says that at the end, just in case you're going, what the fuck is this song about? I cannot figure this out at all because I am a child of the American education system and unable to do simple addition. Therefore, I don't know what Ariana's new song's about. And then at the end, she says 34 and 35, 69. And everyone's like, oh, okay, got it. Yep, absolutely, which is fantastic. And the other, but you know, lyrics during the course of the song include, can you stay up all night, fuck me until the daylight. So we sort of know where we're going with that. And Ariana advises us in the lyrics to the song that she's been drinking coffee, so she's caffeinated enough for some all-night deep dicking. So that's probably...
My age, that sounds nightmarish, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's... I don't know. Yeah, I don't
spend 36 hours without sleep in order to service the needs of a hyper-caffeinated Bratz doll brought to life by a warlock pedophile.
I don't think Ariana
who's
Grande...
also the president.
I don't think she needs 12 hours of deep dicking, personally. I don't think she personally wants that.
I think she's exaggerating.
So I think the song is sort of... Yeah, you're right, for sure. So
I mean, I'm impressed that she came up with that complex mathematical code. It was like when... Britney invented that clever wordplay of "if you seek Amy," but then was terrified that people wouldn't be able
boys
to
and all girls,
decode
if you
this
seek Amy.
Enigma-style cipher, so she had to introduce the song with a bit explaining what it was in the form of a news
If
report.
you seek Amy, fantastic, which is fantastic. So yeah, anyway, so 34 and 35 positions. I think we're seeing a bit of a
Yes.
theme in this sort of.
She's also got a song called Walking Side to Side, which is about being so thoroughly railed that you can't walk properly anymore.
Okay,
Great.
fantastic.
That was another big hit by the 12-year-old looking songstress. Lyrics credited to producers Killer B, Mr. Franks, London on the Track, and TB Hits, plus Just Acoustic, Angelina Barrett, Niger, and the Caucasian Ariana Grande.
Ooh.
Boy, I'm trying to meet your mama on a Sunday, then make a lot of love on a Monday. Never need no one else, babe, because I'll be switching them positions for you. Cooking in the kitchen, and I'm in the bedroom. I'm in the Olympics, way I'm jumping through hoops. That's not an Olympic event. Know my love, infinite. Nothing I wouldn't do that I won't do, switching for you. The video, I suspect, is an attempt to counteract the extremely old-fashioned nature of those lyrics. I mean, this is some food on the table when I get home, Stepford wife stuff, you know, which is fine if that's how she's genuinely feeling about some dude at the time. But making yourself the president in the video is not going to magically counteract that Mad Men Betty vibe, especially if the president spends half her time jilling it in the White House kitchen over a half-cooked turkey. You know?
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben? Is that the way the president should behave?
Oh, look, I think so. Look, definitely. So I don't really know what goes on in the White House apart from deep dicking. I think that's the only thing that I assume goes on in the White House.
I think it's disgraceful, Ben. Look,
Yep.
deep down, we both know the president should be a decent Christian, 200-year-old white man up on rape charges, the way God intended, okay?
Yep, for sure. What do you think about Melania Trump? She would have been sort of in there doing the Ariana Grande style cooking in the kit, making the meals.
Oh
and
yeah,
that sort of thing, so.
she's deeply familiar with pots and pans. She definitely knows what they are and how to operate them. I'm sure she's cooked many a complicated meal. That lady.
Yeah, exactly.
So she
right.
wasn't out the back getting railed by 7 to 8 Secret Servicemen most of the time in a
Yeah, and look, to be
giant,
fair,
thoroughly locked bedchamber, ensuite outdoor area.
but to be fair on her though, I think that she probably, if she doesn't prepare those meals, she probably wanted to, but then just knows that the husband's, you know, really just needs a quarter pounder or 6, and that's it. So
there's
you know.
not much point cooking complicated shit for a guy whose idea of haute cuisine is a well done steak with ketchup on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, it's this is a great song, and I thoroughly enjoyed the sort of glimpse into the future, because I imagine it'll be like that Simpsons episode where Donald Trump was the president, and then we'll look back on this in 2032 and go, holy shit, Ariana Grande, she is the president. She did it back in that video clip. Hopefully she's got a live-in chef, because she shouldn't have to be doing that cooking herself.
That's right.
So, absolutely. Anything else to say about this one?
No. I thought Megan Thee Stallion was a good choice for VP though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Cardi B.
VP and Minister of Twerking.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Cardi B, both of them, I think. So either or. It's you know, it's a tough choice on that, I think. So,
Sure.
but you know,
All
both would work out well, I think. So,
What do we got next?
Couple more 4 more weeks of that 24
Yeah,
Golden
switch
guy,
back and
and
forth
then
a
at 21 December, Taylor is back. Taylor Swift
One
with
week.
Willow.
Yes, first single from her other album of 2020. Clearly, she was one of those infuriating fucking people who got more productive during lockdown.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I was producing was hangover fumes. Yeah, this was co-written and produced by Aaron Dressner again, and the first single from her second most recent album, which was Evermore, before she re-recorded her old albums and then went into full electro mode with Jack Antonoff on Midnights, which is her most recent. According to Taylor, Willow is about intrigue, desire, and the complexity that goes into wanting someone. I think it sounds witchy and magical, like casting a spell to make somebody fall in love with you. Do you feel like that came across in the song, Ben?
As someone who's a big fan of the Bette Midler vehicle Hocus Pocus, Tom, I didn't feel that this was witchy enough.
No,
So,
me too. It,
yeah.
it lacked witchiness. Yeah.
And as a Witch House fan as well, I didn't feel that there was any level of witchiness in this at all. So I think on a sheer witch scale, I think it sort of failed.
I know you've been working on a witch-themed band where everyone in the band has to have a witch-related surname.
Yeah.
You're Gary Witch. And
Well, much like Michael Vampire, I just figure that it's very,
it's of the moment.
Why spend time being creative when you can just say it's a witch-themed band, I'm Gary Witch? Yeah.
I mean, we've had, so far this millennia, we've had fucking 5 years of vampires, 5 years of werewolves, 5 years of fucking zombies. Maybe it's the witching hour and witches. And
I'm Gary Witch.
Eurodance witches. That's what we need.
The bass player is going to be Ray Broom, which is a play on words of former Tasmanian Premier Ray Groom, which is a massive deep cut for anybody that's not 40 years old and from Tasmania. But yeah,
his brother David Broom.
Absolutely, and then Shane Pumpkin on the drums. So I've spent as much creative, material on this as I think Taylor did for this song. So Taylor described this as a chamber folk ballad. Read boring. I think this is probably worse than the Cardigan song. That wasn't great. I think this one was probably even less exciting.
I prefer. They're similarly wet and of the same. They really do sound like they're of a piece. I was legit surprised to read, because I hadn't really been following her prior albums that closely, that these were from different albums.
I just assumed they were from the same one.
Yes, I'm thinking she pulled a Use Your Illusion. She just did 2 albums worth of material because she was trapped in her bedroom and
then did this. Yeah, the music video is a continuation of the story in Cardigan, making this basically the Super Baby Geniuses tour of music videos.
That's right.
Being a continuation of something shit to begin with that no one wanted. So
I'm looking forward to the Estranged Volume 3 Blade trilogy of these
Baby
videos.
Geniuses 3 or
of these Taylor videos, perhaps a crossover with Baby Geniuses.
Absolutely, yeah.
This video was, as you say, is also directed by her. I quite like some of her songs, but this is as thin and wispy as Positions, and equally wet and as thin and wispy as Cardigan, and equally wet and whimsical in lyrical terms, which is all about being in love with my man, who in the video looks like Keanu Reeves' dorky nephew.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little Red Riding Hood fairy tale vibe to the whole thing, except it's all kind of toothless and absent any sense of danger or witchiness or visual metaphor, really, other than sort of following a glowing line until you get to make out with Gary Reeves before his Oklahoma audition. And she looks good in a cardigan, but fucking hell, you need to work a bit harder than that these days. You're competing with fire hydrant Vadgers, lady presidents, and whatever acid trip FKA Twigs is working on next. You can't just sit around in chunky knitwear hoping that people go, oh, look at her, she's cute. At least come up with something interesting.
Yep. Look, I think, Tom, that this song reminds me of how much of a fan Taylor Swift is of the Wu-Tang Clan. Because obviously she had the Wu-Wear vibe on Cardigan, and with this one she's released a cashmere willow cricket bat, I believe, to sort of tie in with this sort of song.
I was hoping that
which is quite good, because I assume that all of Taylor Swift's American fans are well versed in Test match cricket, and of course the items that are required to play said game. So, Tom, I think what else do you have to say about Willow particularly? Or
like I mentioned before, I previously accused Taylor Swift of trying a bit hard to fight against her perceived reputation.
Yep.
The entire Reputation album, for instance. But here and in Cardigan, she seems to be doing the opposite, e.g. totally leaning into her sort of gel pen diary romantic side.
Yeah.
And it's pretty ineffectual, at least on me, As you say, they sold all right, but perhaps I'm not romantic enough, but romance and fairy tales have to contain an element of risk, or they don't really mean anything. Even the Val Kilmer film Willow, which I believe this song was named after, understands that if you're going to have a fairy tale, you've got to have death and violence and monsters or something in it. You know,
Yeah.
like otherwise it's just a unbelievably twee love song thing that's got, you know, hooded cloaks in it and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, she's still packing fans in and stressing out the Ticketmaster infrastructure, I notice.
No doubt, Tom.
She's on her Eras tour right now. Tickets for her Sydney pre-sale went on sale a couple of days ago in Australia. 800,000 people in the lounge half an hour before opening time.
Yep.
4 million people tried to buy tickets. And Ticketmaster said that their algorithms killed 500 million auto-purchasing attempts from scalper bot things,
That's
although
crazy.
how many got through they're not going to report. Once you're in the lounge, they claim it's random who gets tickets anyway, but yeah.
Just for context, so 4 million people apparently tried to buy tickets for this. The population of Australia is 25 million people, so
Yeah.
effectively,
Pretty fucking nuts.
basically 1 in 5 people were trying to buy a
Have a
ticket for
go.
that. So.
Yeah.
Look, as you said, Tom, that was a massive announcement this week, and it sort of came out to get those tickets in the last couple of days. Now we've got our tickets, obviously, for the year, so that goes without saying. But when you look at the sort of scenarios that are available to people to buy tickets, there are a lot available now. The G Reserve ticket, $80.
Yeah.
Which I assume was behind a pole 400 metres from the stage.
That's Ticketmaster. There would have been 3 of those in the entire giant arena.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then all the way through F Reserve, E Reserve, etc., up to A Reserve, which I think you're right, sort of in that bit at the front of the stage. Now, that's for the sort of the regular people, the plebs, but you and I, being big Swifties, we went in for obviously, you know, some of those special VIP packages. People might be saying, Ben and Tom, why would you spend such a large amount of money on these VIP packages? Well, you know, you get the special set of 4 Taylor Swift prints, Tom. You get the commemorative Taylor Swift The Eras Tour VIP tote bag.
Yep.
You get the Taylor Swift pin, the sticker, the postcard set, the souvenir concert ticket, VIP laminate, and matching lanyard.
Sure.
So I've got all of those, Tom, but I don't know. Are we going to be sitting together because there's the We Never Go Out of Style package for $350, which gets you 1 awesome E-Reserve ticket. I don't know whether that's what you went in for. It's a love story package, 1 excellent D Reserve ticket, that's $400.
Yep.
Ready for it package, 1 amazing B Reserve ticket at $600, Tom.
Yep.
Remember, all of these you get the tote bag, the sticker, the lanyard, exactly. Remember It All Too Well package, 1 incredible A Reserve for $750. Karma Is My Boyfriend package, 1 phenomenal A Reserve ticket at $900. And then It's Been a Long Time Coming package, 1 unforgettable A Reserve floor ticket at $1,250.
Wow. That would want to be in Taylor's lap, I would say, for most of the concert.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Tom. So, look, I guess, you know, it sort of raises the question. A lot of people have said, what is the difference between something that's phenomenal and something that's unforgettable?
True.
Taylor's answered that. The difference is $350, I think. So that we know
Don't
once
forget
and
that
for all.
lanyard, Ben.
Well,
those things aren't cheap.
Absolutely right. Now, look,
You can't just get a tote bag for free while buying 2 oranges at any grocer in town, Ben.
Now, for $12.50, Tom, I'm happy with the A Reserve unforgettable seat. I've got that. I'm happy with that. You know, I'm happy with the Taylor Swift prints. I'm happy with the Eras tote bag. Happy with the pin, the sticker, the postcard set, the concert ticket, the VIP laminate and matching lanyard. But I think for $12.50, as you said, I'd probably want a sort of a personalised leaked photo of Jake Gyllenhaal's penis. I think I'd probably want that. Something from Taylor's personal iPhone, you know, that sort of, probably his dick, I think that signed by Taylor would be good. I think a food package would be ideal. I sort of want to, I'm sitting down on that seat. I've paid $12.50. I've got the lanyard. I've got the tote bag. I've got the pin sticker, concert ticket. I've got the VIP tour laminate. But I want to sit down there, go, I'm at Taylor's thing. I'd probably, $12.50. I'd like dinner included. I want to open it up.
Yeah.
I want to see what is the signature Taylor Swift burrito. What is in that? I want to sort of get that, hammer that down. If I'm spending $12.50, I don't want to have to go out for dinner beforehand.
No, fuck
and then
no.
hit the show. I want to show up there. I want Taylor's burrito. I don't even care what's in it. I just want that. The Taylor signature burrito. Maybe, whatever her special sauce is. Whatever. I don't care.
It's so ticket mastery, isn't it? Because for VIP, I mean, maybe it's Taylor. Who knows? But VIP implies that you will be you'll be given entry to an area that other people are not allowed to. A lot of VIP tickets include some sort of backstage thing. Maybe you get to shake hands with a person. Maybe you get to say hi, or they're at a table and you get to walk past and take a quick photo or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I understand that Taylor's fairly busy, but still,
exactly.
For $1,250,
Now,
I would think you'd want to go home with, at minimum, the risk of having contracted some sort of infection from the artist.
oh, exactly. Look, I mean, that's what you get with the Motley Crue tour. I think you go home with Ebola. So it's good.
Chlamydia or your money back, I think,
exactly.
is their guarantee.
But the question is, though, Tom, an A reserve is $400.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's been a long time coming package, A reserve. $1,250.
Yeah.
So there's an $850 difference there. I'm not sure that for Taylor Swift prints, the tote, pin, sticker, postcard set, lanyard, and tour laminate are worth $850.
No, not unless that lanyard and laminate give you backstage access. That's
No, exactly.
If you're talking about some sort of crappy show bag, not that I would suggest that that's what you just described, then yes, $850 for a crappy show bag does seem. I should say that these sold out in a matter of seconds. By the way, all of those they were the first release.
Yeah.
They sold so many that you could only get them via the American Express website, and there was so much demand that it crashed the American Express website. So, yeah, fucking hell.
Look, I think, but I don't begrudge Taylor for these ticket prices because I think that if the fans are willing to pay that, then why not?
And I will say, sorry.
No,
right.
go.
I've seen a lot of, I'm Generation X, so in the last decade or two, I've seen a lot of greatest hits album, or best album reprisal nostalgia tours. This is her greatest hits show, and it's meant to typically run for 3.5 hours. So when she says greatest hits, she's not fucking around. She doesn't mean one off each album. No. She's talking about if you like the song, I'm going to fucking play it at some point. Absolutely. 3.5 hours. I'd probably have to. If I was drinking, I'd need to go to the toilet 3 or 4 times at this stage, I reckon, or carry a suspiciously large bottle of apple juice with me the whole time.
Well, you can take a dump in that tote bag, Tom,
That's
if
true.
you pray for the
I could maybe take one of DeBaby's range of signature adult diapers for when you get
Correct.
shot through the abdomen and have to wear a colostomy bag for the rest of your life.
So look, they sold out very, very quickly. Tom, I went for the unforgettable A reserve floor ticket.
Of course you did.
So I'm not sure about you, but look, hope to see you there.
Sure. Please send me a photograph of that lanyard because I'm guessing it must be pretty special.
It's by my calculations worth $400. So yes, it should be.
I don't think I've ever seen a $400 lanyard.
No. Well, I'll send you a photo, definitely. I mean, I've sort of tried. I think the postcards are worth about $100-$200, so I've sort of put $400 in the lanyard. I could be wrong. The tote bag could be worth $600, and the lanyard could only be worth $50. But anyway, we'll see how we go. So that was that, and then the last song of the year, Tom, for 1 week is what?
Once again,
Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
That's right. The Queen of Christmas trademark and copyright Mariah Carey 2018 is back, Ben.
Yep, and that'll be the case until I die.
The sun burns out. Yeah. Did you know, Ben, that this song has been released as a cover by at least 136 different artists?
Fuck.
Now,
hit me with some of the big ones.
Which is your favourite cover, Ben?
Okay.
Is it the Fifth Harmony, or are you more of a Bowling for Soup man?
Fucking hell.
Perhaps you just prefer the 2011 self-cover by Mariah Carey plus plus Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
Who
okay.
usually gets his Christmas presents by rummaging through Ed Sheeran's wastepaper basket for songs he can rescue. So I understand it. One of those is all he needs to get him through to the next year.
Look, I haven't heard the Bowling for Soup cover, but given that it's Bowling for Soup, I'm assuming that it will be my new favourite going forward. So,
I don't mind
but
this.
Fifth Harmony, though, I mean, oof.
I know. That was not that. That was like 2015 as well. I was like, I'm surprised they're still together. I thought they'd all gone their separate ways by then.
Yeah, well, I
Didn't
think
they all fucking hate each other?
yeah, well, I think friend of the podcast, Camilla, is
The voice
she
of-
left, but I think the other four stayed together
to do Fourth Harmony.
Yeah, I think so. They probably still prefer performing that working from home song, which everyone's like,
Yep.
oh yeah, it's great. I get to, just do my Zoom meetings at home. And it's like, no, the song's about your husband taking a day off work to fucking
that's
dick
right.
the living shit out of me. But, it's fine.
It's a
Anyway,
real Ariana Grande song. That was.
So yeah, don't have anything more to say about All I Want for Christmas. I'll try and think of something next week because
I was
I assume
struggling
it will be fucking
to
in
try
there
to think of
again
something.
forever. So
Incidentally, my favourite cover is, of course, the Zebra Head. Yeah. They're
hell.
still keeping it real.
That's good. Now, Zebrahead, what, F tier new metal or sort of?
Yeah, like that sort of post new metal in the sort of puddle of mud era.
Where it's just kind of like shitty rock music?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
yeah, that sort of Nickelback, Daughtry kind of thing.
Fantastic.
They had
That's
one
good.
half hit that had like Pamela Anderson in the video or something like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, good
It's the
on
only
them.
way anyone would give a shit about them.
Cool. All right, well, thanks for listening.
Yes.
We will post the playlist. Check out the music videos. We'll be back next episode with 2021.
Yep.
See you then. Farewell. Take care.
Bye.